Just two dudes just
talking about
freaking it.
talking about Saoirse Ronan.
Oh my god.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, let's dap up.
Dap it.
Yeah. All right, let's get this shit.
My palms are sweaty.
Mine are?
No, mine.
Oh, are they? Oh, they seem fine. All right, I'm gonna jump in.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this first episode of this spin-off podcast, which doesn't have a name yet. We're going to be talking about movies we love and our feelings about them. I'm one of your hosts, Zane Barry, and with us our other host, Allison, whose last name I don't know. You've never told me.
But that's one of those things, like, you just, like, you know someone's last name, sort of. You look at it all the time, but you never say it out loud.
Do you want me to bleep it? Do you regret saying it?
Yeah. No, right. An air of mystery is probably good for...
None of you guys have any clue. People don't get to go be a bunch of freaks with your last
just bleep it.
So today we're going to be talking about 2017's Lady Bird. That was your choice, I believe. I believe you chose Lady Bird.
Yeah.
Why'd you choose Lady Bird?
Lady Bird, okay, so I graduated high school in 2017. She graduated high school in 2017, or this came out in 2017. And I remember seeing this in theaters for the first time, and it's like, it's a movie that I've never felt connected to a movie as much as this one. Just like how much I saw myself in it, how, like the emotional response it gave me. And I saw it with my mom too, and so it's like, we'll get into like why that is such a thing, but revisiting it like after the fact too is like I just like saw it like completely different, like as an adult, like looking back.
Is this only the second time you've watched it?
No, this probably like I've seen it a good like 5-6 times.
Okay, yeah, I think that's about where I'm at with
it.
So I graduated high school in 2014, and then I finished college early. So I actually graduated college in 2017, like a semester early. And I remember seeing this in theaters definitely twice, maybe thrice. I'm not totally sure. But I love this movie a lot. To me, like, a lot of the striking things are, like, I love the music by John Bryan, who's, like, a composing legend.
Yeah.
He's done music for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, but he also worked on, like, The College Dropout for Kanye, and he produced the final 2 Mac Miller albums. So, like, very versatile gentleman doing the music. And I love the cinematography and the colors. And also, I was just already a very big Greta Gerwig fan because my... favorite movie for a while has been 20th Century Women, which has Greta in it.
Yeah.
Here, I can actually pull this up right here. I've already forgotten to use a slideshow. So yes, Lady Bird 2017. Here's the nice poster of Saoirse Ronan, and here's Greta, which I believe this was her final acting role. I don't think she's acted in anything since this.
This came out after Frances Ha.
Yeah, it did for sure. This was a Mike Mills movie. And I love Greta a lot, and so when she was directing, I'm like, sure, let's do it. And what followed was Lady Bird, which is a wonderful movie. Yeah.
Something about Greta Gerwig, I feel like she just like has such a good grasp on like what it feels like to just like be a girl. I feel like we don't get a lot of like female like coming of age movies, and everything she is in or makes, it just feels like just like girlhood at every like step of the way, because it's just like you're never like leaving girlhood. It's just a different like point in your life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting because that registered for me as well, like because growing up as like a boy or whatever, it's like you have so many
boy or whatever.
You have so many like male POV movies, you know, and the range of emotional representation is like so different. It's like you can get really emotional, introspective things like Judd Apatow movies.
Yeah.
Or you can get movies about like farts and boners like Judd Apatow movies.
Yeah. The range of Judd Apatow.
Absolutely. And
boners and feelings.
And I think this, and it's like I've always been a sucker for like coming of age movies, kids feeling like isolated and like, coming into their friends and feelings. And so it's like, This was definitely, I think, the first time I watched a movie like this that like distinctly felt like a woman POV, from like the way it represented her having a crush on a boy and her being nervous versus like the typical like a boy is nervous to go like hit on a girl and like not look at her boobs in a movie or something like that.
Yeah, it's like without, I mean, I guess we could get into it, but like,
yeah, you want to get into it? We'll have Allison summarize the plot and we'll talk about our thoughts and feelings along the way.
Gorgeous. Okay.
The movie starts with this opening quote, if you want to read it.
Okay, it's a Joan Didion quote for the audio. Is anybody who talks about California hedonism has never spent a Christmas in Sacramento.
Yes.
How much Joan Didion have you read?
Never heard of her.
Joan Didion, very bold of you to admit that.
I don't know how bold it is because I've never heard of her.
Joan Didion is also just like such like a girlhood like staple too. It's just like it's such like a girl. I'm gonna try to find a way to not just say girl all the time, but for
woman.
No, it's different than woman. It's different than womanhood because it's just like being like a grown girl. Not a woman, just like there's like a sort of like magic and just like magic and just like whimsy. I feel like it's like whimsy is what it is. And like there's a certain performance that you're like when you're being girl, it feels like a performance like for yourself and for everybody else. And I feel like that's like Lady Bird especially she's just like performing herself.
Right. Yeah, well, so for context, our protagonist, we immediately see she's like a very, she has popping red hair, and she immediately, the relationship is like propped up on her and her mother. It takes place in 2002 in Sacramento.
Thank you.
Yes. You want to take it from there?
Yeah, so we're opening up on Lady Bird and her mom. Lady Bird is in her senior year of high school. They're on their college tour trip.
Yeah, they're touring colleges.
They're touring colleges. I never did that, and so
no, me either.
No, I was just like state school.
Yeah. Like
barely graduated high school. Arizona State said, "Come on in. You want money too?"
ASU said, "Get in here.
Get your ass in here, girl.
Do you want a loan?
Do you want a loan?" They're like, "Wait, how much does your mom make?" Oh, just get in here.
Don't
You're
even
fine.
worry about it. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll Venmo me.
So they're listening to the ending of, is it Grapes of Wrath?
It's the Grapes of Wrath on audiobook.
Yeah.
And it's like a 16 cassette package of them. Like there's a lot of cassettes.
Yeah. And so they're just sitting in the car, just looking straight ahead, sobbing, like so hard that they're about to cry, but like silently to themselves.
They just are crying.
They're just sobbing, but like to themselves. Like they won't like really acknowledge it to each other. Like the mom looks over and is searching for her eyes to like have a moment.
Yeah.
She wants a moment so bad.
And they're kind of having one, but the mom is like, she's trying to really marvel in it. And Lady Bird is quick to try to turn on the radio pretty immediately.
And she says, "Can't we just sit with what we just listened to?"
Yeah. She says, do we have to constantly entertain ourselves at all? And this is 2002.
Not that age. Okay, so they cut to, let's just sit with what we heard. And she has to entertain herself, and then it just goes so quick from having just a sweet moment with each other to just like an escalated argument, just like screaming, shout matches. And Lady Bird just opens the door and flings herself out of the moving car.
Yeah.
Which is, haven't we all been there?
and the mom screams in terror, which I think is the first. I think that this encapsulates the relationship really well because they're bickering as if they hate each other, but the scream of terror really shows how much she loves and cares about her.
It's always the screams and then the yelling is just like one way to show that you care about somebody, because it's like no one can make you that mad if you don't care about them. Because
the mom is like, she's trying to keep her rational, like, hey, like, don't shoot too high, but she's also saying like really mean things, like as if you could ever get a good job or as if you could get into like a good college. Like, who do you think? Like, you're lazy, like that kind of shit.
Their relationship is just so hard to watch. And like I said, when I first saw this movie, I saw it with my mom, and I was like, wow, that's just like us. And she's like, but the mom is so mean. And I like didn't understand what she was saying. I was like how like cutting and mean for lack of a better word is the mom is. It just went completely over my head the first time I watched this.
Yeah. And, I think everybody in one way or another has probably some sort of a difficult relationship with their parents, even like the best of relationship. And it's like, I grew up with an extremely loving mom, but it's like, you know what it's like to be in an argument where you're like, you're so wrong right now. And I feel like this movie like really encapsulates that, because sometimes Lady Bird is being kind of like a dumb 17-year-old, you know?
She's a brat.
She's a total brat. But then the mom is like, just an asshole at times.
Literally.
But she cares so much.
Yeah. And it's just because they're the same person. Like that
Right.
like that's where it all like comes down to at the end, is that they're the same person. And we'll see that like on and on again, like throughout the movie, just like cut to both of them just doing the same exact things at different times.
Yeah.
One scene that like always like gets me is like when the mom is coming home from, what is the mom's name?
Dude, okay, that's the fucked up part. I was going through this. I got to the end of the movie, still don't know her name.
Maybe that, yeah.
I think she has one though.
I think
the dad says it like once or twice.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, she's kind of just mom.
Mom.
Yeah.
Which I guess is kind of the point, because she kind of like is just that, like that's just become her identity like, over the years. But it's just like, that's just you.
Maybe Greta would be like, how dare you? You should have known. I wasn't trying to hide her name, but I swear it's not that prevalent in the movie.
Yeah.
They really don't help you remember it.
No, I always think about too, like how when you're growing up and you like, again, like when I watched this movie for the first time and everything about the mom went over my head, and then coming back to this as an adult and seeing her as like a actual person, like her own independent person who had like hopes and dreams and is like messy and bad but like complicated, and she cares so much, and it's like seeing your parents when you get older as those people too. Just like a full person. Yeah,
I think your early 20s, a lot of the time, is definitely making your parents more three-dimensional people in your mind. You're like, oh, they had like a whole life before I existed. They were like a whole guy.
They're a whole guy. I was like, I'm the age you were when you like moved to this state or like got married and like had a kid.
Playing that game in your head really fucks.
Oh. And I see people having kids now, and I'm just like, oh fuck.
My best friend
gets to do that.
My best friend has a 1-year-old baby.
Anybody gets to do that.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, at any moment.
You don't have a qualification to do a life.
All right, let's get this.
Okay.
We're on scene 2. We're on scene 2. Let's.
So she enters senior year of high school.
Yes.
With a cast on her arm because she broke it falling out of the car, flinging herself out of the car. She didn't fall out. And Lady Bird goes to this traditional Catholic school because her brother went to the public school and he saw someone get stabbed.
Knifed, specifically. You have to go to the Catholic school because Miguel saw someone get knifed at the public school.
Is that what you want? Is that what you want? It's to see someone get knifed? Okay, I didn't realize that you wanted to see someone get knifed so bad.
What I love so much about it is they never say you could get knifed. It's just Miguel had to see that.
He had to see it.
He had to see someone get knifed.
And now he's goth.
Right.
And now he's goth.
And we'll get to Miguel.
Yeah, okay. So Lady Bird is running for office once again. It's her annual tradition.
Yes.
Is
it for class president?
Yeah, but she calls it running for office, which is so charming because she just does things for the plot.
Right.
And I love Lady Bird so much, and like it was so hard to watch this movie sometimes because I was like, fuck, I did that. I was like, I did that for the plot too. Like, I just like ran for stuff. I just put myself out there. She just puts herself out there because she's like, this fits the character that I'm creating for myself.
Right.
She's like constantly just like performing the character that she wrote. she doesn't want to be in office. She says, I run every year. You know I'm not going to win. It doesn't matter. No one's going to vote for me.
And she has these very charming posters she's made. And Lady Sarah June here, she says, some of the students find these disturbing, and Lady Bird says, it's just a bird head on a human body or vice versa. And Sarah June says, I find them kind of disturbing.
She's like, okay, maybe not people are saying it's disturbing, it's me.
Yeah.
It's me.
One thing that I've noticed about this movie, every single time I've ever watched it, there's gonna be a few moments here where I talk about the cinematography, which I really love in this movie, just the colors. This is the most yellow ass scene ever. Like,
yeah.
They return to this room several times in the movie, and it never looks the way they do here, but they're just hitting you in the face with nostalgia, like sunset look. Like, every time I watch this, I don't even think these screen grabs do it justice, but it is color graded so yellow. Like, it is just designed to be like high school.
California, baby. It's California.
It's your final year of high school.
OC.
Like, it's as if there's just orange trees planted on the windows, just tinting that summer light. All right.
Sojo Didion.
And so yeah, okay, so you were putting yourself out there a lot in high school? You were doing
I was, yeah. But
I was the most, like, I was very socially, like, scared, and so I didn't put myself out there, like, at all.
No, I was just shooting from the hip, just like, I'm this, like, just before, like, main character syndrome was, like, a term and just, like, used to death, and, like, I'm gagging just thinking about how that just came out of my mouth.
No, it's a thing that people say.
But I was just like, I was on the improv team, I did theater. But we need to talk about how she finds theater, the theater arc of it all. Is so.
Should we get there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here we go.
Okay.
So she signs up for the play auditions. She writes Christine Ladybird McPherson, and then her friend Julie says Juliana Julie, whatever. And she's like, you shouldn't put Julie in quotes. That's just your nickname. And she's like, well, you're doing it with Ladybird.
Yeah. She's like, that's your nickname.
And she's like, that's not the same. And Julie is like, I'm not sure you're right. And Julie is played by Jonah Hill's sister, Beanie Feldstein. I hate to qualify her as Jonah Hill's sister, however...
Is she? I thought it was just kind of in spirit.
No, that is literally Jonah Hill's sister.
That's so cute. I did not know that.
Yeah.
I'm not well versed in knowing people.
I know some people, and these are some of them.
God.
And I hate to identify her as someone else's sibling and not her own person, but let's just face it. Jonah Hill was an icon of high school movies with Superbad, and now Beanie has not only been in this, but also Booksmart.
Booksmart.
Which a lot of people just say is Girl Superbad.
It is Girl Superbad.
And they, in every press run, were like, it's not Girl Superbad. And I'm like, that's a compliment. Because it's really good. I love Booksmart.
I love Booksmart. They wanted to go to college. They were just like so driven in that movie.
Yeah.
They just like had such big ideas for yourself. Like, that's a Girlhood movie.
Yeah.
Is just like having these huge plans and like for what you want to be, and just because there's only so many things you were taught that you can do, and so it really feels like you're making like a Barbie of yourself. Like, bring back a Barbie. Hey, Barbie. It's just like you're like making like a little stupid Barbie of yourself. Right. And you're just like, I'm gonna be a career girl. I'm gonna like have this job, and I'm gonna like write these things. And I don't know, something's like just so charming and whimsical about that. Yeah,
and also just to bring it home with the Beanie Feldstein Girlhood trilogy. Richard Linklater, who made the movie Boyhood over the course of 12 years, filming every single summer with the same boy for over a decade to put out this like once in a lifetime real-time movie. He's allegedly gonna work for the next 20 years with Beanie Feldstein to make a womanhood movie of her from like our age now to like 45.
I can't wait.
So apparently in our 40s, we're gonna get like a Beanie Feldstein Oscar, probably.
Something to live for. Hopefully she has many before then, or a lot of Tonys. She's still, oh my God.
Okay, so they sign up for the play, and then they're walking home through the neighborhood.
And again, they're just imagining little lives for themselves, and they walk past all the big houses in the rich neighborhood where they go to school before they like start to get to like the the poor area where they live. The wrong side of the tracks, as Lady Bird puts it.
Yeah.
Which she thinks it's so it's so good.
We'll
get there, but it's so sweet.
And what's great about this moment too is when she's fantasizing about living in this house, her fantasy is, we'll have a room to eat snacks. I'm gonna have so many friends over and eat so many snacks. I'm gonna be like, Mom, refill the snacks. And like, that's
Mom, we're gonna go up to the TV room.
Yes. Now, I don't know about you. I grew up in a pretty small house, and so like the house she lives in is bigger than the house I grew up in. That she complains out the whole time. And when I went to a friend's house that had a second story with like a TV room, I was like, this is crazy.
Whole room for TV? Isn't that the living room?
Yeah.
More than one?
We got another one.
We have a kitchen TV.
And that's all she wants.
That's all she wants.
We see for the first time her brother Miguel, who is presumably adopted, given her both white parents.
Yes. Well, it brings it up later because when they were talking about applying for schools, and she's like, "How'd you get into Berkeley?" And he's like, "I didn't put down my race." And so
he goes, "You fucking racist!
You fucking racist!"
And his girlfriend Shelly,
thank you.
We are tricked into thinking is scary at times due to this is another cinematography thing. Almost every time it cuts to these two, it is hilarious because they almost exclusively film them from really far away. So it's always a really funny cut to Miguel and Shelly.
And they look like the Shining twins in this scene right here, like standing. It's like,
it's always them just staring judgingly from far away, and it's always hilarious.
Because they're turning into each other because they're living together in that little house.
And the mom, gets her groceries, and she's like, "This is with the employee discount? Geez, the 2002 economy. What are we gonna do?"
It's only because not helping there, baby. And so we see the mom at her job. She's a nurse at the hospital. I really love all the scenes that we get of the mom away from Lady Bird.
Yeah.
And just to see where she gets to put all of like her love and care into other people and her other relationships. Like, what was this nurse or doctor just had a baby, and she's like, I couldn't help myself. I had to get the pink little shoes, or what is it? Are they shoes or a little dress?
I don't remember, but to me, like, it was always just like very showing that she's like a beloved figure everywhere else. Like anywhere else she goes, not to say she's not in her own home, but there's tension there, but in the public world, she's the nice lady.
She's the nice lady. She's bringing you gifts at work. She's remembering your birthday. And same thing with Shelly too. And Shelly like tells Lady Bird later on when they're smoking a clove cigarette outside, she's like, your mom's a really nice lady.
Yeah.
She's really caring and has a big heart. And she's like, I don't think so.
And pretty like reoccurringly, the mom cares about special occasions. Like you just brought up, this is for the other nurses, like baby being born. She cares about the school dances. Like pretty much if there's a special occasion, she kind of wants to make not a huge fuss, but a little bit of a fuss about it.
She loves a fuss because she's Lady Bird's mom. Lady Bird is the exact same way. They need to do like the big to-do about it.
And that's how my mom was too. Like me and my brother's birthdays were like her favorite day of the year. Like she'd be like, it's Zane's birthday. Like she was so excited, and my mom was a photographer. She would take pictures of everything and stuff like that. And like, I know some families probably just don't have that kind of thing. They're like, whatever. And so, in this movie, if there's an opportunity for the mom to be like, let's take a picture, they're usually doing it. Yeah.
Oh, and then so after work, she's driving home, and you see sort of Sacramento from like her point of view, which Lady Bird like famously hates Sacramento, resents it. It's part of her part of her arc is to hate your hometown.
Yeah.
And she's like, can't fucking wait to get out of this stupid town. I hate Sacramento. And the mom's like driving home from work, and she's seeing all the big houses and all the trees and all the curves, and we come back to this scene a lot, and it's gorgeous. Like Northern California is beautiful, and you see what like she must have moved there at some point thinking she's gonna have this big house and like live in all the trees. and she's still dreaming for it. She still wants it so bad.
And it's always shots of really mundane things, like just some sunset over some houses, or like a strip mall shop where like a cat down an alley. But all of these shots are very beautiful. It's a very romanticized view of like kind of boring suburbia, essentially.
They have to like, make a story, make an arc, have the main character.
Okay, so this is interesting. So I watched this when I graduated college. You watched it when you graduated high school. Where were you at this point? Were you like pushing your hometown away? Or did you feel like, yes, I do love where I'm from when you watch this?
I was pushing my hometown away, baby, and I'm still here. But I was like, I can't wait to go to this stupid town. I hate it here. Oh, fuck you, Mom. But I was like really close to my mom. And so it was like, when I was like, I can't wait to get away from you. And then just like the second, she's like, okay, fine. I was like, wait, no, just like pleading, like to like still have that like security. But I really didn't have a plan. Like I had an idea of what I wanted to do, kind of ish, but it changed every month. And so I think I was just kind of too like scattered to like really push away.
Sure.
Like she did.
I remember like I didn't really feel like I had like good friends where I felt like accepted and like comfortable in my own life until like junior year of high school. And so these last 2 years of high school, I was like, man, I'm like a person now. This is awesome. And then all of a sudden, it's time for everybody to move away and do careers. And I was like, what? I just figured out how to feel okay with myself and have like cool friends. And so I was really petrified at college application time. And I was like trying to apply to these scholarships where if like I won them, they could have taken me away to the most magical colleges across the country. And I had so much choice anxiety because I felt like it had never even occurred to me what to do with my life. I remember like looking at all these beautiful colleges and I was like, I remember telling my mom, I don't know how to want to go to any of these places.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know how other kids are sitting around and going like, this is where I want to be. Like I didn't have like a dream really. And so I wound up just only applying to ASU because I was just like, this is too much. This is a lot of pressure. And so I remember when I was graduating, so many kids I knew were like, fuck Arizona, it's the worst place ever. I'm getting out of here. And I remember thinking like, this is all I know. This is all I know.
Yeah.
I don't know why to hate. I
was supposed to be hating this? My God.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this movie a few years later, I think I got more comfortable with like, wait, I actually do think where I'm from is really beautiful in a newfound, profound way. Because I'm an adult driving around all these places that I've been driven through my whole life, and it's actually gorgeous. So I sort of had the come to Jesus moment that Lady Bird eventually has, where she's like, it's kind of nice where I'm from.
Oh my God. She calls her mom at the end. It's just like,
yeah.
Hey.
All right. Oh, so this is the one view pretty much of their house during the daytime. This is the allegedly dilapidated hut that Lady Bird hates living in.
The squalor
they have
of their one bathroom house.
They have like lovely window shutters and like a front carport, like some hedges, a brick chimney, like a beautiful yellow paint job.
And there's so many windows.
So many windows for available light.
It's like so brown and claustrophobic and dark looking in there. Yeah. And it really just feels like hot and like suffocating, and all the the blinds are all drawn all the time. There's like trying to keep it out, or
it looks like no matter what room you're in, if somebody else enters, it feels crowded.
It feels like whatever room you're in, someone's gonna open the door and you're gonna get hit by it.
That's kind of how my house growing up was, because we were like 5 people over 6 foot in a like 100-year-old house that was like pretty tiny.
You're all ducking under like the doorways to get in there.
Me and my brothers shared 2 bedrooms that didn't have a separating wall. So we were essentially 3 6'5" guys in like one room. Like that was essentially, you gotta like kind of like move like this to get past furniture and stuff like that. But it was fine.
Yeah.
I really liked where I grew up, but there definitely is like a feeling of like, man, when the house is full, it's just like it's like crowded in here.
He was like, I hope I don't cough or else you're gonna like inhale it.
And then we see the dad for the first time.
I love this dad so much.
Wonderful one. He's the most likable movie dad I've seen in so long.
Yeah. And so I just love the scene of like the dad and the mom in the bathroom getting ready, and Lady Bird's out of the picture, kids are out of sight, and they're just like having just like a really sweet moment, like making little jokes and just talking shit and like hanging out.
She asks, "Do you think Miguel and sir?" she asks, "Do you think Miguel and Shelly are having sex on the pull-out couch?" And then he says, "Oh yeah," and then they laugh about it.
It's just so cute.
So it's like you immediately see that their tone is like they're loving, concerned parents who have a pretty good sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan, you'll figure it out. All right, we'll keep it pushing. All right.
Okay. Oh my god.
And also, if you want to gloss over anything, I have 102 slides here, so we can.
Gorgeous.
I did essentially a picture from like every single thing. So you feel free to take the reins. Okay. I don't mean this to dictate too much.
So then the girls are back at school. Is this the day that they're like doing the auditions?
We'll have to keep going to be sure, but essentially they get to school and they're sort of gawking over this other student who they think is much more beautiful than them. She looks like a young Mila Kunis.
Yes, she's gorgeous. And then she's leaning against her gorgeous, beautiful, nice car, and she's like dangling her keys. It's just so like, yep. I can drive. She's
like, yeah, so I'm thinking like later we'll like go to Circle K and like.
She's like, I don't even know.
That bitch gave me a C. Like that's her vibe.
Yeah. It's so Californian and just like inland and apart, just like how everything is a parking lot. Everyone's driving when they leave and they're just like, let's go to the Deuce. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, wait, this is a parking lot?
We went from one parking lot to another. Yeah.
And it's like, it all is just parking lots. And it's just like, so like, that's Sacramento, baby. It's one big parking lot.
And then we see them sacrilegiously just snacking on the Jesus wafers.
Laying down in some little back office and talking about masturbating in the tub.
Yeah, just having a girls talk about jerking it in the in the bathtub.
Just two girls jerking it and eating the body of Christ, baby.
And another student says, "You're not supposed to eat the wafers," to which Julie says, "They're not consecrated." Or whatever. I don't know that word actually.
I didn't go to my boyfriend
Never
went to
been
Catholic
to church
school.
in my
Me
life.
either. My mom had
we're godless.
My mom had such guilt growing up that she never took us to church.
Yeah.
And she's like, I just wanted you to have community. And I was like, she's like, I just wanted you to like grow up with like morals and like community and just know like stories. And she has a lot of guilt too. She's like, there's so many references that you would understand if you knew the Bible better.
Like God references?
Like, she's like, in media, there's so many like things based on like Bible stories.
Yeah.
And I don't know why she feels guilty. I don't know Bible references.
You should just like reference check her. Be like, Mom, if you watched Lost, you would know.
And she always sends me.
Actually, Lost is very Jesus-y, actually. So that's probably extremely biblical the more it goes on. So maybe your mom was on to something.
I think she is on to something, but I don't know. Moving on.
Okay, so yes, theater auditions.
Danny is okay.
So we gotta go over this. The way this scene cuts in is one of the best like editing rhythms I've seen in something, because it cuts in. It's like, all right, students, whenever you're ready, and then immediately you're like, I don't know, like just the most.
And he's so good.
He goes last, but before him is like 5 other theater students, and it's like they picked the 5 rhythms of musical singing, where it's like the lady being really melodramatic, and then the like really annoying kind of just like just kind of like newsy as ass sing talking.
And I love Lady because she's just so sincere.
Yes.
Like, she's just so, like, I'm not doing this ironically. I'm, like, very serious about being a character performer. This is the theater. I'm wearing a turtleneck dress.
She's like, are we all ready? She's like, that's her vibe.
She's like, we're doing this. Hey.
I see. Okay, so I wasn't a theater student, and I feel like for a lot of the people walking around school who weren't theater students, the kids who walked around school just singing all the time were clearly talented, but also at times deeply annoying.
Deeply annoying. Theater kids are so annoying. I was
But so happy.
Yeah, it was just like, it was a level of of being like such a little adult. Theater kids are such little adults.
So they're making the show happen.
They're making the show happen. They have so many keys. We need to talk about Pen 15 sometime.
Oh my, well, that should be episode 2. That's great.
Pen 15.
Love Pen 15.
Pen 15, I think it's the second season, or the end of the first season, or the beginning of the second season.
All of them.
When they do the play.
Yeah.
And Anna becomes the stage manager.
I forgot about that arc.
And it's Tech Week.
Yes.
And it's a big deal. Everyone loves to lament this. It's Tech Week. We're gonna have to work so hard. Oh my god, I guess we're gonna live in theater.
Because you're in math class and your fellow students are like, they're essentially working in the coal mines for the next 2 months.
You have no idea.
So
the binders
you were
and
a
the keys.
You were a theater student?
I was a theater student.
I figured.
I was on the improv team.
Yeah.
I was in the musical. I didn't do the straight plays because it was a waste of my time because I'm a sing baby.
I will say I think that the reason I put myself out there now with like making YouTube videos and films and all the crap I do is because I think that I was always like personally an artsy person. Like I drew a lot. I watched a fuck ton of stand-up, music, TV, movies, cartoons. I was into a lot of things and I could talk about it. And so when I was in high school and I saw everybody doing that stuff and then people like liking them, I think there was a part of me that was like, damn, that'd be cool if I could do that. But I just never actually thought, what if you can? And so I just never even, it like kind of half occurred to me in my subconscious to sign up for choir or something like that, but just never did it. Like I was like, that's not for me. I'm not gonna go do stuff in front of people. Are you fucking crazy? So,
are you fucking crazy? This guy, I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna think about it in my head after the fact.
I'm gonna see them walk by and having a ball, and I'm gonna think that could be me, but I'm not gonna do it.
And I was like, I could do that better.
I never jumped that I could do it better. No, I was never thinking that should be me up there because I always thought, wow, what a bunch of talented folks.
I was so deluded.
Yeah.
That's what. Lady Bird is so fucking deluded in like her abilities.
Yes.
She's like, I'm doing theater now. I'm the best. I'm gonna be the lead because that's me. Like, why would I waste my time with it? Do they not see what I see? They saw my performance. It spoke for itself.
Clearly, I'm the lead.
Yeah. And that was me too. Like when I was like going up for auditions and seeing people singing, and I was like, I would have done that differently. I would have done that differently. I kind of missed your cue right there. You didn't yes and it. Like
they see Danny sing, and after the montage of talented but annoying choir kids, we land on Danny, who is kind of just singing beautifully. It's almost as if they made the other kids kind of annoying to set us up to almost give us cynicism to then be taken away by this guy who's just objectively great. And this is how they look at him. They look at him with the eyes.
They look at him like, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
A huge like, are you seeing this?
Just, it's such a very like girly thing is just holding his, you know when you see girls do that, they hold hands like this. Just shaking your hands, just like, just can't do, like, again, the Jonah Hill, bring that.
Yeah, Jonah Hill going, I forget, this is the end?
I don't know. No, it's, Baby's the Sitter?
22 Jump Street?
No, maybe.
Wait, I feel like he's like wearing a suit in that gif. Oh, no. What a legend. He's in so many good things.
It could be at any of those movies.
Yeah. Fuck.
It sucks that he
told his girlfriend not to talk to men.
It sucks that we hate you now.
It sucks that he told his surfer girlfriend not to wear bikinis on Instagram.
But they're looking at him and There's something about watching a boy sing a song on stage.
Yeah.
Men on stage. Something about men on stage makes you go.
And I in school said, I'm not getting on that stage.
Men on stage. This guy?
Because they're gonna be like, this guy thinks he should be on a stage. I think this for me is definitely one of these like, oh wow, this is like a girl POV movie, because I've only ever grown up seeing movies of dudes just sort of like ogling, like, so like the hot girl type
taking
things.
off her glasses and going,
and then yeah, going and then hopefully they'll be like, you're sad, I love that.
Oh my god, the sad boy era of like rom-com, just 500 Days of Summer. I just was one of my favorite. Okay, one of my favorite movies.
I think that
growing
movie's.
up.
I'm gonna say it. I think that movie's a masterpiece.
It's so fucking good.
I think the writing of that movie is much more complex than people. I think if people are kind of only looking at the surface, they're like, "Wow, what a perpetuation of." And I'm like, "No, this movie is like a thesis piece on."
Yes.
Yes.
And then like the jump cut, like the non-linear timeline, just like going back.
That'll be episode 3.
All right.
But yes, this is a very girl POV having a crush moment, which I, at the time, who knows how old I was, man, was like, never seen nothing like this.
There's everything.
So they go to the store. Lady Bird wants a $3 magazine because it's been, quote, a hard week. And the mom says that's what rich people do. If you want to go get rich.
If you want a $3 magazine, yeah, get a job, babe.
And so she promptly steals it and introduces herself to Danny, who's at the store with his large family.
His large, lovely, clean-cut, khaki-wearing family.
He keeps the shirt tucked outside of school. He doesn't untuck in the store.
No, he's business. He's on business.
And he's a God-loving American.
He's a God-loving boy. Definitely Mormon-coded.
Very Mormon-coded.
Where you look at him and you're just like, that guy is gonna go home and have a nice glass of milk.
That guy might knock on my door and ask me some questions.
That guy is going to bring my trash cans in for me when I forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she shakes hands.
She's a handshaker, which everyone comments on, which I never thought was that weird.
No. Well, I think in this day and age, like 22 years later, Jesus Christ, that's existential. But 22 years later, I think young people are back to shaking hands a little bit. But
hey, you heard it here first. Shaking hands is back.
It's back.
It's back, guys.
And you better start. Love it.
My hands are so sweaty.
They're not. They're fine. Your nails look really good. Is there like a little heart on one of them?
Yeah, they're Valentine's Day.
I noticed. Those are great. Yeah.
But so she introduces herself to Danny and she says, I'm from the wrong side of the tracks. And he's like, what? And she's like, nothing.
Really melodramatically, she says, I'm from the wrong side of the tracks.
Because she has this version of herself that she's trying out of like being a bad girl. She's like, well, if I can't like have the nice house, if I can't do this, then this is my origin story.
She's like, I'm gonna talk like a poet in the woods.
She's in her art era.
Have you ever, when you were younger, tried to just say something cool and it came out really just not cool? Do you have? I have one example that mortifies me to this day.
Because I just say shit that I don't remember.
I remember everything. When I was in elementary school, I was like bullied a lot, but also I think there was a lot of kids that were completely neutral and nice to me. But then like I just had this like mental attitude that everyone wants to bully me at all time, even though it was only like a few kids that were doing it and they were my best friends. And so I felt very unconfident in every situation, and so I would be like almost scheming in my head, like, how do I come off as like chill? Like, have you seen Arrested Development?
Yes.
Do you remember Milton's Academy for children, and their saying is do not be seen or heard? And there's pictures of the school, it says at recess, and there's just no kids. That was me. I was trying to be not seen or heard because I thought if somebody talked to me, it was a timeline where somebody's gonna be mean. So when I did talk, I was like, there's a lot riding on this. And I remember one time, it was like the morning before school started, I'm walking around with some kid, we're looking for one of our friends, and they're like, where's so-and-so? I remember in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna call the cafeteria the calf. And I said, I think he's in the calf. And the other kid was like, what? And I was like,
stop trying to make the calf happen. It's not gonna happen.
And to this day, I think I was probably 6. And like 21 years later, I'm like, oh, hate that I said that.
There's like the way you're like no, the cafeteria.
I think I doubled down. I think I said it twice. So yeah, she says I live on the other side of the tracks, and he says what?
And she's like nothing.
She's like don't worry
even
act.
She's just like like glosses over it so fast. She's like that didn't work. Like next one.
Because she's beaming that she's talking to him and that he's nice.
Yeah, and he's so nice, and it's just. I relate to this so much because it's just the way that a boy being in theater, again, men on stage, but then like out of it too, just like you see them so different. You're just like, we have this in common.
Yeah, all the theater students were dating. They
Yes.
were all just obsessed with each other.
Yeah, it was like so sexually active. So everyone's so closeted, but I just remember there was in my theater program in like high school, everyone was gay. Everyone was like experimenting with like their gender identity, and it was just like no, everyone just ate lunch in the drama room. It was like so insular.
I was afraid to go in there.
Yeah, no,
even though it seemed like the best place. Okay.
No, you should be, because they
All
would be
right.
like, okay, what the fuck are you doing in here? This is our space.
The choir room was attached to these like hallway rooms, which were for like practicing, but they had like a guitar class. So if you went into that hallway, there was just a wall of guitars. So sometimes me and my friends would go in there, grab some like acoustic guitars, go in one of the practice rooms and play like the one song we knew how to play. But then in the other room was like, I was friends with like a lot of theater and choir students.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends did that. So a lot of them would be in there, but I'm like, I can't go in there. It's like when you're a young boy in a Target and your mom enters the like women's aisle of any kind. I'm like, I can't walk in. I can't walk in there.
They're gonna know I'm a pervert.
There's like a force field. I can't.
That's for girls. Oh, but so Danny says, he's like, I have this idea for my character.
Yeah.
I want him to have curly hair, like Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
And she said, like Jim Morrison, like very 70s, like Jim Morrison. Then she runs over to the register where her brother is, and she goes, who is Jim Morrison? She just is like, that's an artist that you're referencing.
Yeah.
It's something like cool.
Yeah.
She assumes that everyone, like everything that everyone else knows is cool because she doesn't know what it is. She's like, oh, you're referencing something, which is, I do the same thing. I was like, oh, it's something I don't know. Must be cool and interesting.
Right. Oh, really?
Because you know more than me.
That makes me feel better because I make a lot of references and I try very hard to go out of my way to like not say shit that I assume no one has ever heard of. And if they are, I try to preface.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's what I'm about to talk about.
I have goldfish memory.
Great. So this next scene, this looks damn near identical to the choir room at my high school. What about you?
I went to high school where choir was a big fucking deal.
Okay.
It was like, we had like 5 choir classes.
5?
Very cutthroat auditions.
Yeah.
Huge productions each year. They bussed in like senior citizen homes to like come see the shows. It was like went to like national competitions in like Tennessee, like huge deal. So this is a little small for me.
Okay. Our school was here. I'll bleep this, but I went to and our.
What was that?
Okay, well, rude. It's so.
Heard.
Here, this will just be a sped up thing of me going like. All right, no doxing of my high school.
No doxing.
But our high school, I think, was known for having really good musicals. I think that they did a good job. But our rival school, like, okay, their stereotype was being like rich and white and doing cocaine, and then their rivalry with us was just being racist. And so they and like also like classist. So they'd be like, your school is poor and has other races. Like that was kind of how our school was treated. So despite our complex of being the shitty one or whatever, we had good musicals.
The Diamond in the Rough.
Here, you want to talk about him?
Oh god, what's his name? I don't know.
I was gonna write it down and then I thought, you know what, that's okay.
The theater teacher.
Who is also like a pastor. Because they're at Catholic school.
Yeah, and what I'm remembering now too is part of the motivation for them to sign up for the musical is that it's with the boys' school too, so they get to hang out with boys and have classes co-ed style.
Right.
And so they're sitting in a circle, and he's talking about okay, we're gonna see how long it takes for you to cry.
Well, so they're playing a bunch of team building games.
Yes.
And it feels so real, like watching them all play these games where they're like stomping and clapping.
And they're taking it so seriously.
Yeah.
Little adults at work.
And the final game, he says, first one to cry wins. And then he says, me and Mrs. So-and-so, because there's another teacher there, we're playing too, don't worry.
And he wins.
Like moments later.
And he wins. He goes, I'm sorry. And he's sobbing. He said, I'm so sorry.
And everybody's just looking at him like, I don't know what to do.
It's the illusion of seeing an adult cry.
Yes.
And be upset. And show emotion.
And you're like, I'm not supposed to see this.
I'm not supposed to see this. I'd rather walk in on you naked than see you cry.
And now this kind of kickstarts a theme. It's a minor theme in the movie, but it is there. The men are hurting in this film. There's only one male character in this movie that does not have a problem, and I'll point him out later. But essentially, this is very much so a woman movie, a girlhood movie, but pretty much every man is like struggling in this film. This guy is like weeping, and we don't quite know why yet.
Yeah, every man in this movie is just holding up the women around them, and
yeah,
I think that's like why it's such a girl movie too, because it gives so much empathy to the men in their lives.
Yeah, secret male rights activist Greta Gerwig. Bye, XL.
I forgive you from Barbie.
Bye.
Bye.
That was XL, everybody. Let's get some exit music.
I did it.
So, so I skipped over it, but in the next part, there's a brief thing where a student very uncaringly says, I heard that he had a daughter who overdosed at 17. My mom, some people think it was suicide, but my mom says same difference if you're being that careless with your life.
And
then she says, gotta go.
And that's when their relationship kind of starts, and they're left alone together.
They're left alone, and
Danny and Lady Bird are left alone together, and she's like, well, I can bring you some hot Rolos if you want.
Yeah, he's like, I was thinking about experimenting with some curlers.
I can bring you some Rollers.
Now, okay, this is the one man who has no issues. Let's talk. You want to talk about him?
I want to talk about this man so much. He's the math teacher, and Julie is in love with him.
She is so. This is the two characters looking at their men.
Yeah.
Lady Bird is gazing off into the thoughts of Danny, and Julie is like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?
Look at this absolute meal in front of us." She's like, I am starving. And she's great at math. She knows it, but she's so shy about it. And
she is shy about it.
Every little compliment that he gives you, because this is like where she can like thrive and like get attention, where obviously she's not getting that, like being next to Lady Bird, who sucks all the air out of the room.
Yeah, and Julie is like very, very patient and supportive with Lady Bird's clear narcissism, because the narcissism, it's never coming out of
malice,
really. No. It's just her being very important.
She just thinks about herself
a lot. And Julie kind of just goes along with it, but you're right, this really shows that she's a little nervous, and she wants some attention too.
Yeah.
From this hottie teaching order of operations in algebra.
I think at one place we can put that. But Julie, and so he's like, good job, Julie, like nice answer, good job, you got it right. And she's like just like devouring that little snack, that little tidbit that he threw at her, that little crumb.
And as the film goes on, we'll get to it, but it's sort of revealed very indirectly. It's really just for the audience to notice it or not. Pretty much every single thing Lady Bird complains about, Julie also has, but like worse.
Yeah.
Like she lives in like a studio apartment
with just her mom.
Like she also is crushing hard. She's also trying out for the musical. Like there's a lot of angles to this.
Yeah, but she has such a better attitude because she doesn't really think that she needs to complain. She's like, I hope.
Yeah.
What's the mom's boyfriend's name? Steve? Dan?
Yeah. Well, he's played by David Wallace from The Office. And his only line is like, "Here's your ham sandwich, Julie."
He makes them sandwiches every day
And she says,
he makes one for Lady Bird too.
Yes, and she's like, bye, Uncle Steve.
Oh yeah, and she's like, why are you calling him your uncle? He's basically your dad. And she's like, I'm just trying it out.
She's just trying it
out. And she's like, I hope he marries my mom.
She's a bright spirit, Julie.
She's so good.
She's
so
very
beanie.
optimistic.
It's so beanie. And she just, everything she does is she's good at.
Yeah.
She's not trying to like make a character for herself like Lady Bird is.
No.
She's just like authentically living and doing things that she's interested in.
Yeah.
Like she ends up being like a great singer and like gets the lead in the musical. And
she stands up for herself. Like
she does stand
she's
up
like,
for
I'm gonna
herself.
put my name in quotes just like you. You're not gonna steamroll me.
No. Cause she's like, she has like a quiet confidence. She's like, I don't really need to show off. I don't need to do this, but she just knows her worth.
Yeah.
She knows her worth, and Lady Bird hasn't figured out what she's worth yet because she has such an inflated ego.
Yes. And then next they have a rodeo-themed homecoming. Lady Bird makes the first move, running her finger through Danny's hair, but then he goes in for the smooch.
He goes in for the smooch. And she's trying, and she's like, Beanie, Julie.
Yeah.
She's like, well, we're supposed to have a sleepover at my house. And she's like, no, my mom's picking me up. Huge eyes, like, you get what I'm saying? And she's like, no,
Julie's
we had
like,
plans.
we're not having a, what are you talking about?
We were gonna make food and like watch the show. And she's like, no, but what? My mom's picking me up. And so Beanie Fan's like, gives up.
Yeah.
She gives up and she just goes home.
Yeah.
And when Stanley leans in and kisses her, she sprints home.
And she screams in joy. A very cathartic moment.
I was like, we all done that, haven't we?
But then she comes home and pretty much instantaneously this dreamlike reality she's in is squandered because her mom runs in to insist that she cannot go to bed without folding her clothes first because she doesn't want them to look like trash.
Yeah.
Because her dad is looking for a job and the rich kid parents might hire him. So if she has a reputation of looking like a rag, it's going to bankrupt the entire family. So you better fold your fucking shirt before you go to bed.
The stakes.
By the way, how did the dance go?
She comes in on such a high and it's just immediately just like,
yeah.
But she runs into her room. She's still like riding that. She like runs by her parents who are like obviously like crunching some numbers. Yeah. And it's dark, it's stressful, and the mom comes in and like projects all of her anxieties onto her. It's not about the clothes. It's not about like her looking like trash. It's like the mom doesn't want to look like trash. She feels like she looks like trash.
And she's freaked out of how the family is going to keep it afloat because they have an adopted son with now
a living girlfriend.
Their stray cat of a girlfriend and then Lady Bird. This is a family of 5.
Yeah. In one house. They're all 6 foot and they're all stumbling over each other.
And something we glossed over is in that first hospital scene where she gives her coworker a present. She says, "See you tomorrow," or "I guess today," basically implying that she worked a whole overnight. And pretty much every time she talks about work, she's either saying I'm working a double or I'm not working a double. She works clearly like a lot.
And in this scene too, when she walks in and she starts talking about the dad that might be losing his job, she closes the door.
She just says he doesn't have one.
She closes the door, so like she's yelling at her like openly, and then when she starts talking about the dad and like kind of exposing his situation and his like insecurities, she spares him. She doesn't want him to know that Lady Bird knows because it's like so important for her to like protect
the dad. Yeah, he's a sweet, gentle man that shouldn't hear his insecurities yelled at by the women in his life. So we're gonna yell it anyways, but with the door closed.
With the door closed because he's such a good guy.
Such a good guy.
And he does so much for her. And he's just such a tool. He's such like a tool for them to like fight over. Like he's like we're mad at each other, but we're gonna say this about our dad.
Right.
We're gonna be upset. We're gonna be like being brave for him.
And now, Lady Bird, this is, I think, for me, one of the most relatable moments of the whole movie. This is one of those moments where I remember being a teenager and just being like, why is my parent choosing to just ruin my emotion right now when it's not that big of a deal? And Lady Bird says, didn't you ever go to bed as a teenager without folding your clothes? Didn't you just wish that when your mom got upset at you, she just wouldn't one time? And then her mom takes a beat and she says, my mom was an abusive alcoholic, and then she just walks out.
And she just lives to trauma down.
Essentially saying, no matter what I do or say to you, I'm the GOAT. And you don't even know what you don't even know.
You don't even fucking know.
You don't know.
She's like, I could be an alcoholic. I could be an
You want me to hit
alcoholic. You want me? Oh, so you want me to hit? Oh, you want to just watch someone get stabbed in front of you?
If I hit you, you know what would happen? I'd take you to the hospital and I'd be the one to take care of you. So don't even push me there.
And then we have a hospital bill, and then we're gonna lose the house. Is that what you want? To be in debt for your life?
Me being a big old bitch? Don't even think about it.
I'm actually a saint when you think about it.
Yeah,
I'm actually a really good person.
Really good.
Yeah.
So you better fold that shirt, honey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, now one of the most romantic, perhaps the most pretty blue hour cinematography I've ever seen. It's them very abstractly just running around and dancing in a rose garden. Very, very gorgeous scene.
Drawing on each other's faces with like their fingers, just looking at each other.
And now this scene contains what I can only describe, and this happens in a lot of films, as movie bullshit, but lovable movie bullshit, where you see two characters doing things that you would probably never do in real life, but it just kind of looks good. And that involves just running around and like falling over and just having these little hee moments. And now I'm gonna open up a new tab here. So very, very famously, for those who have seen it, there's this lovely behind the scenes featurette of Greta Gerwig directing this scene, looking like a saint, wearing like just a open button-up shirt, pretty much being the antithesis of what we often think of as directors. We usually think of directors as like some Alfred Hitchcock motherfucker wearing like a black suit tie, being very stern. And Greta here is just having the time of her life. She just looks like she's having a ball. And when she directs this, it is just so cute. I actually have it right here. We're gonna watch it. Let me make sure the sound records on this as well. I think it should.
Run faster!
Yeah, I got it. I'm gonna make this. Okay, let's just watch this really quick. This looks like a delight of a movie to be on set for. It looks like everybody's having a ball.
Now get to the end and then run faster! Now collapse on the ground! Collapse farther back! Collapse farther back! Collapse like a little closer!
So hard.
Just having them play leapfrog.
Collapse a little bit closer!
And you can tell that they filmed this for like hours, because this is probably around sunset right here, a lot brighter than it looks in the final film. And as it goes on, you see it get really dark.
Go left!
And that's like what they used for the movie.
Go left! Oh, this is good. Now go get him. And Lukey, come over to her. Come collapse.
See, like, who's doing that in real life? Nobody, but it's beautiful.
No, kiss her. That's great. Now, Saoirse, go.
And
jump
you know,
up
Greta has talked in
and go
interviews
run.
about how she's always wanted to direct.
Yes.
You know,
And then
and
lie
you
and
can
then
tell
look at
that
each
you know
other.
this is her first movie, and she's
better
goddamn
kiss
loving
her.
it. She didn't direct Frances Ha, did she? Did she direct that as well? Did she? Did I fuck this up? Is this her second movie? We gotta look this up.
I was gonna.
Uh-oh.
In my head, she's in charge of every movie she's in. In my head, she directed
Okay,
every movie.
her husband directed Frances Ha, who famously went on to make A Marriage Story and a lot of other really good movies.
Laura Dern is trending.
Well, Laura Dern is trending, people. God damn.
People also say
Laura looks amazing. We love Laura Dern.
I love Laura Dern.
We 57. All right.
Still kicking.
So yeah, this is to me one of the most iconic scenes of the movie. Just a delightful montage of teenage happiness.
And they're falling in love, and like spoiler. Then they say I love you. They've probably been dating for a week.
Yeah.
But I believe it. I believe that they love each other.
I believe it hard.
I believe that they meant it.
I'm gonna make a sidebar really quick. So we're only this far in,
Jesus Christ.
and it's 1:30 right now.
Yeah. Pick it up.
I'm good to go as long as we need to.
Okay.
It's just whether or not you gotta rush out of
Can't do
here.
anything.
All right, let's go. So next scene, she's telling Julie about her boy, and then she notices that the math class is just fully open, and what does she do? She steals and throws away the entire grade book of this man's career.
She's like, let's just get rid of it.
Let's just delete.
She's like, oh, this is my solution. Because she knows that she doesn't have the GPA to get into any of the schools that she wants to. Because she dreams of going to the East Coast. You know, small liberal arts colleges.
Where writers write in the woods.
Like Yale, but obviously not Yale, because I couldn't get in. But something like it.
And she sees that grade book and she says, delete it, fat.
Delete it. Poor.
Delete it, poor. She you see it in her eyeballs. She's like looking around corners. She's she does it very stealthy.
She's a sleuth. I think if she really had her way and she was at a school like with uniforms, she would absolutely be wearing all black, like a turtleneck, crawling around like a cat. She probably checked for lasers.
Okay.
She would just threw some like baby powder or sand out just to make sure there's no lasers or like alarms.
Don't get a laser pointer around Lady Bird.
Oh, you like your pilots? You like your pilots to be able to see? That's cute.
Okay, so they go to Goodwill. They have another classic mom and daughter argument, just kind of bitching at each other, just being like, "You're mean," and I
love the shopping at the thrift store because obviously they're regulars. She has someone that works there that's like, "Hey, oh, that's where we hear her name." God.
What is it?
It's the Maggie.
It's
Wait,
not.
it's
Maggie.
not.
It's not Maggie.
That's a mom name.
Oh yeah, I meant to say this at the beginning, but big Oscar-nominated movie, nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay. And I'd like to point out real quick, this movie came out in 2017, therefore it was the 2018 Oscars. Don't get it twisted, but in 2017, in my opinion, the greatest year for film of the entire decade of the 2010s. I would like to direct our attention to the Best Picture category. Shape of Water, Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Darkest Hour. I skipped that one earlier because I don't even know what that is. But in addition that year, there was also Logan, which is like one of the best superhero movies. It's actually like a high art superhero movie in my opinion. And it was just, and I think some other stuff that was really good too. And the Oscars, they had the choice between giving Best Picture to Call Me By Your Name, which is like a gay coming-of-age romance. Dunkirk, a World War II movie. The Oscars loves it. Get Out, a black horror film, which is being celebrated everywhere. A Spielberg. A Daniel Day-Lewis. 3 Billboards, which is a movie essentially just about like rape and you know the plights of that. And they said, you know what we're gonna do? And Lady Bird, a girlhood movie. They had a lot of options, and they said, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do the fish fucking movie. We think The Shape of Water deserves it over all of that. They said, let's not pick a cause. Let's go with The Shape of Water.
And I was like, I liked when she got freaky with the fish.
Like,
they saw The Shape of Water. They were like, I get it. I would.
They would.
They saw the fish and they said, yeah, I would.
They absolutely would.
Famously, I have not seen that movie.
Haven't seen Shape of Water?
No.
I think it's really good, but I completely understand why people get weird with it. I think the make or break moment of Shape of Water is there is like a dream space musical number in like black and white, like old Hollywood style. So you just have this like fish man being like a theater student. Okay, then you're gonna love this movie. She gets railed by a fish though in the film.
Haven't we all?
All right, so that's just something I wanted to point out. Because I went to an Oscar watching party this evening when this happened, and I remember when like Sufjan Stevens played like Memories of Elio or whatever. There were women bawling at the party. People were getting really emotional just overall. This was an emotional year. We had Calling By Your Name, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, all 3 Billboards, all the same year. But ultimately, Shape of Water.
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water is best.
I like it when he did the dance and fucked the girl.
Lady Bird cast. Let's find out her name. So it's Laurie Metcalf, and she played Marion. Her name is Marion.
Maggie.
I thought it was with an M.
Right. Okay.
You partially nailed it.
That's my goldfish brain. Working hard, firing on all cylinders.
All right.
Okay, so they're looking through the clothes and they're arguing about who can fucking remember at this point. Money, probably.
Yeah.
And they find a dress and they go, oh, that's cute.
She goes, I love it. And she
That's perfect.
And she says, don't you just love it?
She just love it. And she takes it home.
And she sews
And
it.
she sews it and fixes it for her and hangs it up in her room. And she's looking at it. She's like, she's going to look so pretty in that.
Yeah, because the mom, she wants her to have a good dance. She wants her to look good.
She loves the event. She loves the event. She is magical for her. She likes the performance just as much as she is because she's her daughter's mother and they're the same person.
And
Spoiler.
it does not seem like she's living vicariously through her mother. It's not like she's like, oh, my best high school years through my daughter. It's none of that. It's like really like, I love to see my daughter have a great time. But she better not but don't cross me. Okay, so now the ramifications of throwing away the grade book. This Chad of a math teacher is like, everyone come up and tell me what your grade is.
Honor code.
Honor system.
Yeah.
Honor code. And Julie comes up and says,
I think it might have been an E-.
and
And he's like, I'm pretty sure it was an A. And she's like, maybe.
she says, I'm not so sure it was, but if you say so.
And she's like, score Julie.
And then Ladybird comes up and says, B. And this is his face.
Are you sure about that?
And he says, I was thinking it was more like D-, maybe C+ territory.
You're like, no, I took a test and I remember it brought me up to a B.
And this is his
Absolutely
face
gaslighting
making
him.
the decision. Because
He's like, sure.
he's basically saying, listen, lady, you had a D-, and I'm saying you want to take a C+ because that's pretty generous of me. And she's like, B.
She's like, that does not fit into my narrative.
At all.
No, do you realize the importance of, do you know what's writing on this is kind of the vibe.
She's like, do you understand I'm trying to go to NYU?
Do you understand that I'm trying to go right in the woods?
And I'll be damned if exponents get in my way.
Oh, like I'm gonna need math to be an artist. So you're saying you don't want me to be an artist?
Yeah, I guess you don't.
Guess you don't dream. Guess you don't dream in vivid colors like I do.
Also, I don't really think this means anything, but this is the most blue environment of the whole film. The rest of the movie is very green and orange and even brown, sometimes red, a lot of colors. This movie, or this room, is always very blue.
You can feel the fluorescent light. It's like the projector with the blue, like white paper just never turns off.
Yeah. But they made it pretty still.
I mean, it's so bright.
And then she's like, excuse me.
She's like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
Oh, like I'm an idiot. So you're saying I'm an idiot.
She's not playful about it. She's very serious.
It's business. She's sincere. Oh, and then the dance is coming up. Danny comes over to pick her up. He shakes her dad's hand. He says, "It's so nice to meet you." And the mom is just on her best behavior. Marion's on her best behavior. Let's give her a name.
It's easily the happiest she is the whole film. She lets him in and she says, "You're driving her and picking her up and everything?"
She's like, this is what she deserves. This is what my baby deserves. And he is a nice young man from a good family. And you know what? I'm gonna make sure he thinks that she's a nice young lady from a good family.
And she says, "Come on in, Danny, sit down." Like she said, it's the most enthusiasm she has the whole movie.
It's
easily.
Thanksgiving, not the dance.
Excuse me. It's
I'm sorry.
Thanksgiving. Okay, yeah,
No, I said that.
That's what they argued about at the thrift store. She said, It's just interesting that you want to spend your final Thanksgiving home with not me,
With strangers.
with other people,
Essentially strangers. And she's like, well, I have to meet his grandma.
And now that's a big thing that I think a lot of people deal with in life, where you're trying to make some sort of social thing with someone, and then the other person can't or doesn't want to, and then you're just a big old dick to them about it.
I do that all the time. It's like, what do you mean?
Are
It's
you
your
a guilter?
I'm like, oh, it's your mom's birthday, but I want to go see this movie. I want to go hang out.
I
want to go karaoke. It's Monday. There's karaoke tonight.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you mean it's your mom's birthday? So you love your mom more than me? Okay, cute.
And then I'm like, that sounds fun.
I'm just like, Yeah, I'll call out of work. Whatever.
I'm like, hey, I happen to overhear karaoke.
Oh, we're yoking it tonight, boys?
And they're like, put a cork in it, Zane. And
You are like a down bitch. You are a down ass bitch. You're just like, oh, what time are we going? Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, that's me. And also, speaking of which, I forgot, in this scene, Lady Bird says yet another very relatable Zane thing. Julie says, I have to go practice for whatever. And Lady Bird says, I hate being alone. The Lady Bird is usually not alone. She's always with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And now this is the funniest shit. He looks to his right, and this is what he sees. Just
The Shining
the
twins.
Addams family.
Yeah.
And people often tell me when they go to the movie theaters with me, wow, you were laughing the loudest in there. And I'm like, I don't care.
It was a competition. I wanted everyone to know that I was enjoying it.
I remember this cut elicited a visceral belly laugh from me in the film because like you can tell Greta was like, Shelley, stand as stiff as humanly possible.
She goes, Shelly. He's like, I'm sorry?
And she goes,
she's
that's
like,
my name.
That's my name.
And at this point, that's the only time we've really heard her speak. And so they're really kind of conditioning us to like look at them as just some like background weirdos, which is great viewer conditioning because later they evolve as more three-dimensional people. So, you know, this movie really has really round variety of types of folks in suburbia.
And we know that they're like so like layered too, because like it's so easy to just like have these like kind of like side characters.
Mm-hmm.
But then like we know like their stories, we know their background, we know their wants and desires, we know their motivations.
We know all of it.
We know. I'm watching you.
So he takes her to Thanksgiving.
To the perfect house.
The perfect
Her
house.
favorite house. She said, no fucking way. This is your grandma's house? This is my favorite house in this neighborhood.
At 1224 Sacramento Lane with a goddamn American flag out front.
Goddamn American flag. It's 3 stories. You know they have an attic.
Oh, that's
up
so true.
There. They have an attic
They
up
have
there.
look
It's
at that.
finished.
They have like a little like a it looks like
a separate garage.
they have a carport with like a like a pool house in the back probably.
Yeah, it's definitely a pool house. You know they have a
Definitely.
pool.
So you know she has a lovely Thanksgiving. It's his grandma's house.
It's his grandma's house. She's folding the napkins in a pretty way.
Yeah.
And showing them to his grandma.
And she wants to help.
She wants to help. She gets to pretend that she's from like the big loving family in the big fancy house.
Yeah.
And they're having Thanksgiving and they're respectful people and she looks nice. And everyone tells her she's pretty and helpful.
It's
and
a fairy tale Thanksgiving.
It's a fairy tale Thanksgiving. It's a little fantasy of being a real family.
And you know what you do after you hit the Friendsgiving by smoking weed for the first time in your life.
You smoke, we say, when's it supposed to kick in? Is it kicking in yet? And then they get in the car and they're screaming to the songs from the show they're in.
Yeah.
And they're so excited. She wears a cool hat and they go to the cool show, probably in someone's basement.
Oh yeah, they go to a coffee shop band.
They go see Timothée Chalamet.
Yeah, who is on the bass, not guitar, but the bass.
He's on the bass because he's a cool guy.
And maybe the first time most people in the world ever even saw this lad who knew what he was going to do to all of us for the next decade.
I saw him in 2017. I was like, I want him so bad. I want him so fucking bad.
You saw him in what?
I said, I want him so bad.
No.
Oh, say it again?
No, before that, you said you saw him in what?
I saw him in 2017. And I
2017.
said, that's my
okay.
man.
And you know what's funny? I thought this was the first time I ever saw him in a movie, but there's another movie a lot of people have seen, and a lot of Timothée Chalamet heads who think they know everything he's ever been in. Often on TikTok, a scene from this movie comes up and they go, I've seen this movie 5 times and I've never realized that's Timothée Chalamet. He plays the son in Interstellar.
I haven't seen Interstellar.
It's really good.
I was scared.
Interstellar was my favorite movie of all time, tied with Spike Jonze's Her for about 10 years. And then I said, hey, life got to change. So now my favorite movie for a while has been 20th Century Women and the anime film Your Name. That's my current roster. But
I'm scared of space.
I am too, but it's very beautiful how scary it is in that movie.
Yeah, I feel too small.
Tim,
No,
that,
didn't you
no
scream?
movie will ever make you feel as small as this one.
What happens if I fall out?
You're gone.
Was it Gravity with George Clooney?
Yeah, that's Gravity.
And he takes his off and he takes off his helmet and he freezes and he floats away. He's just out there forever now.
This is a much better movie than that. But I will say, Timothée Chalamet plays a essentially dialogueless son of Matthew McConaughey. And later in the film, because a lot of time jumping happens, who does Timothée Chalamet grow up to be but Casey Affleck?
I love that this is how we were introduced to him. This
Lady
is his
Bird.
first movie.
Yeah,
in my mind, this is his first movie.
It basically is, and he plays an art douche.
He plays all of my high school boyfriends.
Oh no.
He plays every boy I've ever dated in this movie.
This is the type of dude I would probably hate because I would I was like trying to be, and I'm like, I'm not meeting the mark.
She sees him and she's like, this is so cool. We're so fucking cool going to this show. You can tell that they're all just like, this is the coolest shit we've ever done.
Yeah.
I remember.
It's Thanksgiving, we're smoking weed, and we're watching a band in
and
public.
I'm wearing a cool hat.
Cool hat.
I'm wearing a cool hat.
It's really cool. It's like a bucket hat that's like crocheted.
It's like no, is it? Yeah, it's a little newsboy kind of.
Yeah.
It's like a beret.
It's like a news. Yes,
It's
it
like
is
a beret. She's like,
yeah.
I look so French.
And this guy looks like he hasn't drank water in a week. He doesn't know where he is.
He gets a rash from sitting in the grass for too long.
And she's like kind of looking at him, but she has a perfect boyfriend.
She's in her theater era. She's in her Danny era. She
Yeah.
has Danny written on her wall.
But she sees that and she goes, "That's interesting."
Yeah, it doesn't even register with her because that's not the
Yeah.
character that she is right now. That's that's not her plot line.
No.
And so she goes home after the show. Shelly's smoking a clove cigarette.
Yeah.
Lady Bird gets so close to her face, and she's like, "Why does that
She's
cigarette
like-
smell like that?"
She gets right here.
She gets right here. She goes, "Why does that cigarette smell like that?" Shelly goes, "It's a clove cigarette." And she's like, "What?"
She says, "Like your lips. That's why it's flavored."
She goes, "Well," and then Shelly goes, "You know, your mom was really upset that you weren't here today." And she's like, "It's not a big deal. She kind of hates me." And she's like, "Your mom is actually a really loving and caring person. She has a really big heart. She took me in when I didn't have anywhere to go." And you hear Lady Bird repeat that later on in the movie. She's like, when someone says that her mom's kind of a bitch, she's like, she actually has a really big heart. Someone else said it, so it must be true.
Yeah, you can tell that she's not like hating this revelation. She's like, okay, I guess cool people think mom's cool.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, someone else said it. That must be
Yeah.
true.
And something that got glossed over is right before this, her and her friends are all probably still at the munchies. They're microwaving like 5 instant meals in one microwave. The mom comes in and busts them. And she's just smiling. "Are you guys having fun?" And they're all like, "Hi, Miss McPherson." And the mom's like, "We missed you, Lady Bird."
Mr. Lady Bird.
And she's smiling because she knows, okay, my girl's having an important night tonight.
She's home safe.
But-
I'd rather you do it in the house.
Yeah.
And she knows that they're just like, they're happy.
We're good. I just get paranoid. That's the thumbnail. Okay, so they have the musical.
I fucking love this musical.
Everyone loves it, and it's clear that Julie is the star.
Julie's the lead.
Julie's the star.
lead. And Lady Bird is playing just an ensemble character.
Yeah.
But she is taking it so seriously.
Mm-hmm.
She is performing. She's emoting. She knows all her marks. Like, she's the star, even though she just has a small supporting role. And it's so rinky-dink. And it's so...
Like when the lights turn on, you hear the light swish.
And then you know that they had said, okay, then you're gonna hold it, and then you're gonna go into the song. And they're just holding it for so long. You can breathe in and breathe out, and then they start going.
Yeah.
And there's no backing track, it's just the piano. It's just the teacher playing the piano. And they had so much fun doing it, man.
And Julie is beaming, but you can tell that the moment she's been thinking about all day long is walking up to her math teacher after her performance and seeing what he thinks.
She's gonna see her on stage, and he's gonna fall in love with her. He's gonna realize that, wow, she's so talented.
Yeah.
She's been under my nose this whole time.
But who is he with but his beautiful pregnant wife?
His beautiful pregnant wife, and she goes, "Oh."
She says, "Oh." I laugh loud, so I gotta get away from the microphone. But
And she goes and she sits down on the bench, just all the air is out of her, next to the Mr. Pastor teacher. And he goes, they didn't get it.
None of them understood.
None of them understood.
And you can tell, like, these two, like, what a pathetic duo. It's as if they're chain smoking outside of their busboy job in the alley.
Sitting on 2 milk crates. It's like, they sent it back. They don't understand that fish have heads sometimes. And you can't order it without. They don't understand.
Why don't you get your own damn ranch? This is the hard knock life of the theater.
Steak should be medium. It shouldn't be well done.
So they go to, I didn't include a photo, but before this next moment, they go to a post-theater Denny's dinner, and they are every server's worst nightmare. These are teenagers just barreling over booths, throwing fries.
You know that Greta Gerwig was a theater kid because this is a fucking theater kid thing.
Go to
IHOP
Yeah.
after the show. You're wearing your makeup still. You're all done up. You have your hair done still.
You think, I'm gonna get
You're
2
wearing your
appetizers.
show shirts. Everyone gets a Coke. Maybe someone gets food because they're hungry and their mom gave them money, but no one has money. When I was in theater,
Yeah.
we had this thing called the Senior Cup.
Mm-hmm.
We all go to IHOP, right? And all the seniors, it was their last show. They all get up. Everyone passes around a mug. You get to put whatever you want in it. We were putting like bits of their food, ketchup, soda, syrup, butter, everything in it. And all the seniors have to take a sip.
Yuck.
Yeah.
Y'all are nasty.
Yeah.
I feel like I heard of that.
Yeah. And so there's a huge line in the bathroom. Like, Bro goes, come on, I need a pee. I drink so much soda. Party too hard. I drink so much freaking soda,
An
man.
impossible amount of soda just went down my stomach.
So she said, okay, fine, I'm going to the boys' bathroom. There's never a line there, which is such a girl, like a cool girl thing.
Yeah.
I'm just peeing, guys. Don't mind me. I'm going to the boys' room. I'm not scared.
And I will say, the flip experience of this, as like a teenage boy going to like post bowling night Denny's, it's true. Not only is there no line to the men's room, but like looking at the girls' room, like we're like, what are you doing in there?
You have to adjust everything. You gotta pull it. You're probably wearing a bodysuit. You got tights on from the show.
Well, we all just think you're shitting.
Yeah. We're just making out and shit. But she goes into the boys' bathroom where they're really making out, and she walks in on Danny kissing their friend, who was probably
Right.
Beanie's date when
He
they
was at
all.
Thanksgiving.
He was at Thanksgiving. They were a little foursome. They were a little squad.
He has no name, no dialogue. This guy is merely here to be a gay foil. I'm not rolling that back, it's true. He is merely here to kiss Danny and disappoint everyone.
I love my gay foil.
This guy is here to ruin everybody's hopes and dreams.
And she runs out and she's sobbing, and Julie's holding her hand.
How long has this been going on?
Right. He's been lying to me this whole time.
Yeah.
And so they're laying down in the grass, just sobbing and listening to Dave Matthews Band.
And this is 2002, mind us. No Obama yet.
No, well, but just Dave Matthews Band and 9/11.
There's barely ever been a gay character in any television show, if any. Gay people are mysterious at this
Gay people
time.
are mysterious. I'm not asking and I'm not telling, baby. And so they're laying down and they're holding hands and they're crying. They're both crying. And I know that Lady Bird's head, she's like, she's crying for me.
Yeah.
She's crying because she's so upset that this happened to me. And Julie's crying because that teacher has a wife who's pregnant and beautiful and an adult. And she's sobbing because her heart's broken too.
Yeah. And it's also, and now Julie's probably thinking, I gotta carve my own path.
She's like, didn't ask, don't care, too long, didn't read.
So this next scene hits for me really hard. It's Christmas, and the kiddos are all opening the mom is talking about how like your feet get kind of like swampy sometimes, and this is gonna help with that. So presumably she bought them like some nice socks or like shoe deodorant pods.
No,
And she says, I'm sorry, kids, that it was small Christmas this year, but blah, 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 blah. And they all say, we love it.
There's like, my feet always, they're moisture wicking. My feet always get moist.
Yeah.
Thank you. And they're just...
They make sure to confirm the present was good.
She's embarrassed. She's like, I need to get you something. I thought that this would be a good idea. They were 3 for $10, probably, so they each get one.
Mm-hmm.
And...
There's a few other bags on the floor. They have a few other
they got
presents
a couple
going
things.
on.
Maybe this is stockings.
Yeah.
But they're overdoing it, how much they love it.
Yeah.
To save her feelings. Because they all want Christmas to be special still.
Now, growing up, our Christmases ranged a lot. There were some Christmas, I had artist parents, so whatever the year was is what it was.
Yeah.
And some years, like I remember there was a year we got like a television for our room, and that was huge, and maybe some Game Boy games. But I remember there were some later years where my mom would essentially say to us, all right, kids, so here are the options. This is going to be a kind of small Christmas this year. There was a few of those years in a row, but I remember in particular, one of these years was like, you can have a small Christmas with a Christmas tree, because we had an annual tradition of going and getting a real Christmas tree every year.
Wow.
It was a big thing. Or no tree, but, you know, a little extra something. And we all were like clearly more presents over the tree. And so in our backyard, we have what must be like a 100 and some change foot pine tree, because my parents, when they moved into our house, they planted their first Christmas tree, and it grew into this massive pine tree in we have a giant backyard.
That's really sweet.
And so my dad took a chainsaw and he hacked off some branches and he tied them together into the most Charlie Brown looking thing you've ever seen. And we put our presents under that year.
Did you decorate it?
We did decorate it. Yeah. My mom, we had about 12. So we had like a storage shed in the yard. We probably had 12 storage containers of Christmas decorations, and my mom would do the whole living room and then a little bit of the preceding room and like a lot of ornaments. We really would do it up most of my life.
Christmas family.
Big holiday family.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with no celebration traditions almost at all. But the decorating was definitely like, you were in a Christmas wonderland for at least a month and a half.
I always loved the idea of Christmas, and then no one really was into it as much as I was like very like ladybird as a kid. Like you have these like grand ideas, and then you get upset that no one is as into something as you are.
Yeah.
And my mom did so much to make sure that like our needs were met and like everything was taken care of, and the tree was always beautiful, but she was always like, why does no one help me put up the tree? Why does no one help me put up the tree? I'm decorating it. And she's like, okay, no one wants to do it. I'll just do it. And then I was like, why does no one care about Christmas? And we're just both saying the same thing to each other.
Yeah. I have an insane photo. I'll have to ask him for permission to show it, but I think what was perhaps our final real Christmas tree, we were bringing it off the top of the car into the house, and I have a photo of my older brother holding it by himself like a baseball bat, and it's the most insane photo ever of just this grown man holding a whole tree.
Is he smiling?
Big smile. He looks like a Studio Ghibli character, how big he's smiling. And then next, she gives the husband a wonderful throw pillow that says, golfers never diet, they just exist on greens. And everybody thinks it's the funniest thing they've ever heard.
She got it. She's like, that's so him. He's gonna love that.
She says, it just makes me laugh.
Oh my god, that's what my mom was. Yeah.
It's so sweet.
And dad presents are always
so hard.
But if they have a hobby, that's all you're getting forever, baby.
You're getting golf-themed shit forever.
Forever. My dad was a fisher.
Okay.
He loved fishing, and so he always got fish stuff. My grandpa was a fisher. He always got fishing stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you have one hobby, and then that's your identity. Sorry. And that's just like a grown man thing too. It's just you kind of stop being a person and just kind of become the things that you have around you.
Yeah. Look at all these things around.
Fast track.
All right. So the dad quietly comes in and says that he did her financial aid application for her. He asks if she needs money for an application.
She's like, no, I have some squared away.
And she hugs him with all the love a daughter could have. very beautiful. Clearly, they're not letting the mom know that, you know, she's moving forward with trying to apply for some out-of-state stuff, even though it'll be pricey and unlikely. She wants to give it her college try.
The dad is so sweet because he knows these two girls, two women so well, and he loves them both so much, and he sees them together, and he knows that they hate each other because they're the same person, and he just tries to care for them individually and help keep them together because he knows that like they both just love each other so much, but she doesn't know how to help you.
Yeah.
He's like, she wants to help, but she just doesn't know how.
Yeah.
And like, he sees the mom so much in Lady Bird, and
yeah, and I'm
at a loss for words. It's just so sweet.
And I want to call attention to both the production design and the cinematography here, because for one thing, her room was kind of done perfectly. Just like a million things on the wall.
Fairy lights.
Every single thing looks like it's probably has like a sentimental memory behind it. She's like writing on the wall in marker, probably some poetry bullshit. And the lighting was very tastefully darkly lit. They did not use a lot of fill lights. They're falling into just like a lot of shadow. And it feels accurate to just the dim feeling of just kind of being in a room with nothing but some fairy lights. And I think just the nostalgia factor here is like a lot more realism than it is like infantilizing with these like bright, luscious lights that a lot of coming of age movies do.
I'm about to throw up thinking about referencing a TikTok.
But
have you seen the TikTok? That's some girl, and she's like, when a boy's room is messy, it's disgusting, it's dank, it's foul. But when a girl's room is messy, it's hell is the inside of a teenage mind or a teenage girl. It's very Sofia Coppola. And it's just like people like stitch it. They just like do like little like parts of their room and just like littered with trinkets and like postcards and little photos and Polaroids and like photo strips, and they're just like haphazardly taped on the wall or to the mirror, and they're just like lipstick stains on everything. And
my senior year was the first time I had a room to myself because my older brother moved out, and so me and my younger brother were able to sort of have the two separate ends of the mega room. And I took full advantage of that wall space for posters. And I remember when I had my own room again, like a few years later in my first house, every single inch of space had something. And my friend came in the room once and she went, "It's overstimulating in here." And then I was like, I never thought about it that way.
My high school boyfriend had a bunch of, he was a gamer.
Yeah.
And in his room he had a bunch of like Legends of Zelda posters.
Yeah.
And you're the things you like.
Here's a Pokemon if you want.
He also loved Pokemon.
Oh, here's Marcel the Shell, by the way.
I love her.
It's a man, but
isn't it Jenny Slate?
Yeah, but she plays a dude named Marcel. The shell with shoes on.
So
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure Marcel is a boy. Isn't it cool how like weighted it is?
I was gonna say it's heavy.
Yeah, A24 sponsor this. Just pay me back for all the merch I bought.
Absolutely, just focusing on the wrong things now because my Vyvanse is hitting and I'm just
well
tweaking.
She has crossed out Danny's name on the wall. She got a new coffee shop job. She's grinding to make some money. And who does she see outside reading the People's History of the United States but Kyle from the band?
And this is her Kyle arc. This is her Timothée Chalamet arc.
Yeah.
And she walks outside and she goes, "I like your band." And he's just so aloof and whatever.
Smoking a cigarette.
Only hand rolled though.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to smoke all the
industrialized cigarettes that have fiberglass in them.
And she's like, "Well, I used to smoke them when I was younger."
Because younger as in like 3 weeks ago when she smoked for the first time. And her boss says, "I'm not paying you to flirt." And she says, "I'm not flirting." And Kyle says, "Well, I wish you would." And he says, "Maybe I'll see you at the Deuce." And she has no idea what the Deuce is.
She's like, "Yeah, maybe you will."
But maybe you will.
And she crosses out Danny's name on her wall and she writes Kyle. And now that she's done with Danny, she's done with theater.
Yeah.
It's too painful to think about.
I don't even want to be in the show.
I don't even want to be in the show because now I'm focused on being cool.
Yeah.
And so they're sitting in the classroom and then now she wants to be friends with Jenna.
Yeah.
Because Jenna is friends with Kyle, and then she's dating Kyle's friend, and so now she's gonna be cool. She doesn't care anymore. She's laughing at their jokes. She's making
terrible jokes.
She's making.
Jenna is not funny. She's not charismatic. She's really just honestly dislikable.
She's dislikable, and she's
But
everything.
popular.
She's everything that like her and Julie always made fun of.
But they kind of want to be.
They kind of want to be. She has perfect skin. She has the car. She has a big house. She's popular. She's
You
beautiful.
don't need to be likable when you're pretty.
No. That's why I'm a huge. But
Allison's a huge
I'm a huge bitch. The more mean I am, the hotter I get. But they're not funny, and Julie is just trying to make sense of it all.
Yeah.
Because she has no motive of dating Kyle or being friends with these girls. She doesn't get it.
Julie's just trying to hang out with her bestie at the end of high school.
She's just
much like Jonah Hill in Superbad.
How dare you go to college?
Don't go to college.
Go to college. We're supposed to be roommates
You
forever.
idiot. And this is something I want to point out. At no point in this movie has Julie been asked where she's going to college, where she's applying to, what she wants to do. We just know she wants to hang out with Lady Bird and slam that math teacher.
Don't we all?
And Julie is telling us a very boring story that the other girls think is funny. And at one point in the story, she says, blah, 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 blah. And then my mom called about a family emergency, blah, 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 which is not the point of the story. But Julie says, what was the family emergency? And Julie what's her face says, what?
She goes, what?
She says, what's the family emergency? And she's like, oh, like my aunt died or something, but I don't really care about that.
And later, then they have this idea of like decorating the nun's car.
Yeah.
Because she's like married to Jesus or whatever.
Yeah, because Lady Sarah June gives, what's the popular girl's name?
Jenna,
Jenna,
yeah.
She gives Jenna a citation for having too short of a skirt.
She's like, whatever.
Yeah. And then Lady Bird's like, we can totally get her back. And she says, she's a total. And Julie says, nuh-uh, you like her. And she says, yeah, but she's a.
And Lady Bird said, I know where to get like some supplies to do that. And she goes, okay. And she's like, what's your name?
Jenna?
No. Jenna asked Lady Bird what her name is. She doesn't know her name.
Oh, yeah. She says, what's your name again?
What's your name again?
I've never noticed that you sit behind me once in this class.
I've never noticed that we've gone to the same school, this small private girls' school
For 4 years.
For 4 years. I don't even know your name.
You're the only classmate in this entire campus that has colored hair, and I don't know who you are.
You've had a bright pink past for the past few months, and Julie and her just make up so many stories about Jenna. They have like ideas about her. They built
Jenna
background
lore.
They built background stories and lore about this girl, and she doesn't even know her fucking name.
But they're gonna go prank Sarah June after school, and then now this is I think easily the funniest part of the whole movie. Would you agree? You don't have to agree.
No, it was so fucking good. I was gonna say, so the original theater teacher left.
Yeah.
For reasons that we'll find out later, but we don't know yet. And they bring in the football coach to become the new theater teacher instead because, budget cuts.
And he says, a play is a play.
And I'm going to have your characters, they're assigned to you because she knows you better. I'm not doing auditions. Does he call them tryouts? In my head, he calls them tryouts.
Yeah, we're not having you try out for the roles.
And he goes, okay, we're going to learn your blocking. And I'm going to assign your numbers. Danny, you're the lead. Do your number one, big guy. And he starts writing down their numbers. He's like, take notes. And he starts drawing all over the board.
Like a football play.
He's like, okay, the white lines, you're singing. And then you're moving over here. Danny, you're not. You're just out here all alone, holding it down. You're looking at the audience and you're singing. And then we're moving over here all at once. And they're just like scribbling frantically. There's like, is this gonna be on the test?
Yeah, and then he says, and 9 and 10, you're coming in hot! You're coming in hot! And it's, I think if you saw this in theaters, the whole theater laughed so dang hard. It's just an incredible moment because you can tell that he cares. He doesn't want to fuck this up.
You gotta be the best. And later when they have the play, and it's the end, he goes, yeah! He scored a fucking touchdown.
Yeah, like he seems like he's actually good at it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
He's thinking of staging as a football play, and he's great at it.
We gotta be precise, guys. You want to be the best, you gotta win. They won the play.
It's so good.
So they decorate her car, the back of her car, it says just married to Jesus. They have the cans and everything,
Yeah.
and they're trying to figure out what to do next. Jenna asks Ladybird where she lives.
Yeah.
And Ladybird tells her the address of Danny's grandma's house, the big blue house, and she goes, oh, you just want to go there and eat?
Yeah.
Because that's what you do after school. And she just says, well, why don't we go to the Deuce? And she's like, I guess.
Because she said
there.
Kyle said he's gonna be at the. She says it like she knows Kyle.
Like Kyle and her talk.
Old time chums.
All time chums. And this is something that is so teenage girl that you go to someone's house after school and you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I didn't have a lot of close friends
Sure.
when I was in high school, especially like a lot of girlfriends, which makes me sound like a pick me, but
Just a lot of enemies.
just a lot of, it was because I was such a bitch and so hard. But I didn't have a lot of close friends, and especially senior year I didn't, because all my friends were a year older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And so my close girlfriends, they all graduated and like moved away, so I was alone. And there was these girls that I was friends with in middle school who were my age that we were kind of friends with in high school adjacently because of just like proximity and just because that we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we all went to someone's house after school before a football game to all get ready together. And it was the most foreign experience to me how comfortable girls are just with each other. Also, it's just like being like closeted in high school too.
Right.
And just like
Right.
not knowing like the difference between like romantic and like platonic intimacy with girls and being
Right.
really scared of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so everyone's just like, you know, like laying on bed together, just like doing each other's makeup, just like on their phones, just existing next to each other.
Yeah.
And it was so fucking weird.
Right.
And
'Cause, like even like girl platonic friendships has a little bit more closeness than
Yeah.
like the boys.
yeah, you're gonna kiss like eventually.
If we're sitting on a 3-person couch, that middle one is empty.
That middle one's empty.
And that's where the snacks are going.
And that's where the fucking snacks. And that's where the motherfucking beers are going.
I did not try drugs or alcohol until my sophomore year of college. I was very afraid of everything, and breaking rules was in that category. I remember because my mom smoked cigarettes, and she made me very afraid of cigarettes when I was a kid, so I thought doing anything bad was scary. And so when I found out that my friends were taking shots before the dance one year, I think I cried a little bit because I was scared. I think I had an identity crisis because I was like, oh no, now I don't fit in anywhere.
Mom, can you pick me up?
It wasn't
You're drinking beer.
I think it was just like it was like I knew everything was fine. And like I loved like Seth Rogen movies. I had friends who smoked weed and I found it like interesting.
Yeah.
But there was a part of me that had this identity thing of like, that's a lot of pressure, man. You guys are doing alcohol. What am I supposed to do alcohol? I don't think I want to.
Like, just say no. You like turn into no thanks, man. I get high off God. Like just like an absolute
I was getting high off depression and like Jim Gaffigan. I was just like, because my house was like 25 minutes away from the school. We would drive like half an hour from Phoenix into Tempe to go to school. And so I didn't have the ability to like just casually go to a friend's house for a little bit after school, like ever. Like if I had plans of any kind, my mom was like, why didn't you tell me a week in advance? So like other kids doing like spontaneous things wasn't super an option.
Mm-hmm.
It got a little bit more like that towards the end because I was a freshman, my older brother was a senior, he started driving, so that created some opportunities. But it was a very just like, all right, go to Phoenix where you can't do anything with anyone. So it was just kind of me and my brothers like playing video games, listening to music, and like watching like stand up. That was essentially what I did after school.
It's rebuild your personality.
Yeah, it's all coming forward now. It's finally paying off.
Okay.
Kids will go to Bahama Bucks, and I'm like, I've never even been to Bahama Bucks.
Is that a weed strain?
It's a shaved ice joint.
I remember going to shave a nice joint with some people after smoking weed on a mountain for the first time because I started smoking weed when I was in middle school.
Oh, you're so cool.
So I was a bad kid.
That's sick.
And I kind of
like 8th grade or like 6th grade?
Eighth grade.
Okay.
I was 14, and I like somehow got this reputation of being like a bad girl in high school, and this is me also editing my lyric. I found out this all later.
Yeah.
And so they were like, "Can you get us weed?" And I was like, "I guess." I think I just like had some like in a drawer.
Where were
like,
you getting this?
The mall.
Just strangers at the mall?
You have someone's older brother that you meet, and they said this is where I buy weed from, and then you just like have somebody's number and you pick up.
You go to Arizona Mills and you lift a tile and it's under there.
Paradise Valley Mall.
Okay.
And so, smoking weed and then going to get shaved ice with the girls.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they go to the Deuce, which is a parking lot.
Yeah.
They go from one parking lot to another, famously.
Yeah.
And Jenna goes up and gives her boyfriend a real steamy smooch. And Timothy is sitting on the car.
Timotei.
No.
I wasn't correcting you. I was just having my own. His name is whatever we want it to be.
Mr. T is sitting on the trunk of a car, smoking a cigarette, reading a book, reading a paperback book that you know he carries around in his back pocket.
Yeah.
Just isolating himself for his own plot.
Mm-hmm.
And Lady Bird comes up and asks, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm just hanging out," just being so cool about it. And I love Kyle as an arc because he's doing the same thing Lady Bird is.
Yeah.
He's performing this version of himself.
But like as a brick wall.
But he's doing it bad.
Yeah.
He's just regurgitating stuff he probably heard his dad say.
Yeah.
He's reading the books that probably his dad has laying around.
And he's kind of right on a lot of shit, but his presentation is just the most douchey, annoying shit ever.
I would do fucking anything to have the confidence of a hot teenage boy. That can play guitar.
We'll get you there.
But she makes a joke and she's like, she's like, "I'll have to kill your family."
Yeah, something, I don't remember the setup, but the punchline she says is, "Well, then I'll just have to kill your entire family," which I will say, like, I find sense of humor to be the most attractive facet in someone. So if I meet somebody who's really funny and unhinged, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
But some people don't like that. They want women unfunny as possible. And none of these popular kids even have a sense of humor. So he just goes, "What?"
He just says, "What? No, yes, and." She's used to Julie. She's used to doing a little bit with her bestie. Danny had bits because he was also a theater kid. He was ready for it.
Yeah, a lot of character. Even her parents do bits.
Yes.
This is a lot. This is a movie of bits.
Yes.
And these people have never even heard of telling a joke.
No.
And he says, "Well, my dad has cancer, so I guess God's doing that for us."
And I think he thinks it's a joke.
What's that line?
Yeah.
I think he thinks he's like being deep, but
yeah.
like I guess that's him.
I guess that's a joke. That's his
I guess
joke.
he's being playful. like I think for him, if he's doing a joke, it has to have a point.
It has to have a meaning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they talk about cell phones, and he says, "I'm not getting one of those. They're government tracking devices, but one day everyone's gonna have one, and then after that they'll put them in our brains." And she laughs, and then he looks at her very seriously.
It's not a bit.
Not a bit at all. And little did we know he was right, because this movie was written in the future where that's already happening. He's such a genius.
The prophet Timothy Chalamet.
I love that moment because, sometimes in movies you portray characters of the past having a correct prediction about the future, because what do you know, it's written in the future. However, we all know that in high school there was at least one or two of those kids that were just like spouting off conspiracy theories or qualms about the world. And even the most annoying among them were probably right a few times, and he was damn right. Everyone does have a phone, and we're working on putting them in our brains.
You can tell that this was written in the future too, because he said that's hella tight.
Yeah.
Did people say hella in 2002?
That's a great question. People probably didn't say hella. They did say tight. And she brings up the prank she did, and he says that's very baller. He says that's very baller.
Which is, okay, I know that this is how we were introduced to Timothy Chalamet
Yes.
as this like sad indie boy.
Yes.
And in Calling By Your Name, he was a sad indie boy. And what we are learning about him now is that he was always a douchey little hype beast and loved to do little skits at school doing rap songs and dancing around.
Yeah, speaking of which, let's look at... So we were all sold this facade that if you went to high school with Timothy Chalamet, this is what you got. You would have gone to high school with this bushy-haired guy who probably plays bass in a band and is really cool. But in fact, if you went to high school with Timothy Chalamet, you actually got Lil Timmy Tim.
Hey, I'm talking Lil Timmy Tim. It's time to do my dance. Timmy Tim, pull up your pants. Voulez beaucoup shit, I make my way, je suis from France. It's Lil Timmy Tim. I am a boss. You really like my shirt? Should I take it off? See me with it.
Let me jump ahead a little bit. We gotta see him do the chorus and the dance.
Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Now chop. Hey, now chop. Hey, now chop. Trying Is it my fault that all yours were just gone? Thank you, no, you little hoe.
No, Timmy was a barb.
Timmy was a big barb at
Big
his likely performing arts high school in Los Angeles, California. Who knew that this gentleman would one day sell us as the Italian gay bisexual lover boy of the 2010s?
Jacqueline and Peach.
Episode 5 is Calling By Your Name.
Hold your ass back, cause you look young as shit. You ain't never gonna find you a bitch. But I went to work and I went berserk and I quickly found me a hit. Huh! Homeland,
And
was
he just-
turned into
He's crushing it.
He's crushing, and you know he's having the most fun when he's on SNL doing that little bit with Pete Davidson, where they're the white boy rappers, and they're having so much fun. And you know he's like, I'm actually kind of good. He's like, I actually can kind of rap, but I'm gonna do it as a joke.
He was born 7 months before me. He's 28 years old.
Everyone felt so betrayed when he started dating Kylie Jenner too.
I have barely heard about that. He's currently dating Kylie.
He was.
Just seems boring.
You're doing great.
This is all getting cut.
Killed it.
This is getting
Killed
cut.
it.
So back at the coffee shop, Danny comes in. She wants to avoid him because that's her ex-boyfriend, but oh no. I noticed that camera is no longer rolling, and I don't know why.
Oh no.
I don't know how long that's been happening.
Oh no.
Oh fuck, this one isn't either.
Oh no.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. If we were just cartoon characters or sound waves or whatever I decided to do to fix this problem, ran out of recording space, but I just cleared up some, and we're gonna jump right back into it. We're going a little bit longer than we originally planned because we're having so much fun.
Time flies when you're having the best time doing your favorite thing with your best buds.
Let's go. So as we were saying, Danny comes to the coffee shop. She's kind of ready to ignore him because that's her boyfriend. But the thing is they genuinely had a very loving friendship at worst. And so when he confides in her that he needs more time and things are going to get really bad because he has to tell his mom and his dad, and then he starts crying about being gay and having to talk to his family about it, and she gives him the most loving hug of the movie.
She was such a scorned woman. She was so like that's like I think about this movie and like her arcs of like
Yeah.
the characters she is, and like this one she's like, now I'm a scorned woman.
Yeah.
But then like she sees how torn up he is, and she's so quick to just be like, never mind, I'm not mad. Like, never mind. I love you so much. I'm so sorry. This must be so hard for you. And she gives him the biggest hug, and he just cries like deep guttural sobs
Yeah.
into her. And she just, and then I want to continue on the plot, but being in love with the Timothy.
Yeah.
Being in love with the Timothy character, having a gay boyfriend in high school that I found out was gay.
Yeah.
And I was just like felt bad, but then I was just like I was so mad and I was upset for myself. But then I was like, this is a different journey for you. I guess it's not about me.
This happened to you as well.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just embarrassing how much they took this from my story.
I'm gonna cut this part out.
Yeah,
But
that's fine. That makes sense, honestly.
yeah, I'll cut that out.
Cut
though.
this out too. Cut this out too. But
Yeah.
all right. Let's go.
So in the next scene, we see the mom counseling the missing choir teacher, and nothing specific is said in this scene, but the subtext is blatantly that he went to the hospital to talk about his depression as a brave man in 2002. It's unheard of. And
Especially a man of God.
a man of God.
A man of God.
And she says, do you have a support system? A term we all know now.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, he says, what's that? And she's like, who do you turn to when you feel this way? And he says, no one. And then he says, don't tell your daughter. And then he says, I'm sorry. He's always apologizing.
He has feelings.
He's always apologizing for his depression. And she says, don't apologize.
It's really sweet how they like put these two scenes back to back. It's just like the amount of like love and empathy that these two women have for other people and they have to give. And it's just like it's just another like example of like how much they're the same person.
Mm-hmm.
And like Lady Bird obviously like learned how to care for people from her mom.
Mm-hmm.
She sees it in her all the time. They just are too similar to like give it to each other, and they're always searching for it in each other.
Yeah.
And they just can't do it.
Absolutely.
And it's just
a sweet little scene. It's like
really
1
sweet.
minute long.
It's like a hug, and it's just like it gives you so much. And it's probably so hard for him to go there too, because he's like, who do you turn to? And he's like, no one. And it's like, you would think that he'd say like, I turn to God, I find it in God,
Right.
or like my students.
That's a good point. He doesn't even say that.
Yeah, he like lost his faith, and he's sad. He's suicidal.
And I'm pretty sure that's the last you see of him the whole movie. We never see him again. But he was a
Yeah.
really sweet character. And in this next scene, she finds out she got accepted to Davis. I'm pretty sure maybe not accepted to somewhere else. And the whole family is there to be like, listen, lady, you're going to go to a nice college down the road. Everything's going to be fine. I went to grad school there. Miguel went there. Everything's, or no, actually, she's like, why can't I get into Berkeley? Miguel got into Berkeley. I'm Berkeley royalty.
Yeah, she's like, I'm a legacy.
Yeah, she says, I'm a legacy.
I'm a legacy. He's like, well, we don't give them money. So how the fuck do you think you're gonna get in?
Yeah.
And then it's the you fucking racist.
I didn't put down my race. And she goes, you don't think they know Miguel? And then she says one of my favorite lines in the movie. I don't have a picture for it, but she says, you and Shelly are never gonna get a job with all that shit in your face. And Shelly rolls her eyes, and then Miguel touches his facial piercings, like,
fuck.
because nobody's ever said this to him before.
He's in his punk era.
Living on the pull-out couch after graduating Berkeley.
Yeah.
Well, he might have dropped out. We actually don't. No, he graduated.
No, he graduated.
Yeah.
Because when we see, spoiler, when the dad's going to a job interview and he
Yeah.
walks out and Miguel's going in
We'll
for the
get
same
there,
job.
we'll get there.
We'll get there.
She's at a party. Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River is playing through the mansion.
Vibes are on.
It's the class of 2003.
It's at Jenna's house, and it's such a rich girl party.
Yeah.
Because, she says, I have the cool parents. She's like, yeah, my parents are upstairs, but they, like, don't care.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're the cool parents that bought them the alcohol. They're letting them have a party in their house. It's so rich kid, like, left to their own devices. And they're all just, like, used to it.
And he insists to only smoke hand-rolled cigarettes. And then he says the worst thing he says the whole movie, baby. He says, I try as much as possible not to participate in the economy. I hate money. I want to get by through only bartering.
Only bartering. And she's like, wow.
And she's like, this guy is so hot.
I only smoke hand rolls. And then we get the gorgeous line of, yeah, I used to smoke those when I was younger. And honestly, in her brain, I think she was serious about that. when she was younger.
Yeah,
that was an
no.
old self.
That wasn't a lie.
She was
She's
a
like
child back then.
3 weeks ago.
Nothing but a child.
They make out in the hallway, and then she insists, I've never had sex before, I've never had sex before, I've never had sex before.
Yeah, me too.
And he says, me neither. And this isn't just, so this is for her to basically be like, let's keep making out, but
Yeah.
like, this is not how I'm having sex for the first time. And he's like, that's chill, I'm a virgin.
Yeah. And they go into the bedroom.
Yeah.
And she's like hot and heavy, making out with this guy that she's had a crush on. She sees the tanning bed in Jenna's room that her and Julie have heard rumors about. And they've talked about a million times as part of the Jenna lore. And she goes, oh my God, it's the tanning bed.
The lore is confirmed.
I have to tell Julie. And then he goes, who's Julie? Which is a line that will be repeated. And she goes,
Yeah.
that's my best friend. And then they keep making out. But she's still thinking about Julie.
And the tanning bed.
And the tanning bed. And she's like, she's gonna love this.
Because everything's an experience.
I can't wait to tell her.
The next morning, she's taking a shower, and the mom explains how if she's gonna use 2 towels, it affects her entire day.
It affects her entire day.
And they're getting ready together in a very sweet, cordial moment. And she asks, when's the right time to have sex? And she says, you're having sex? And she's like, no, I just want to know when the right time is. And she says, college is good. College is good.
College is good.
And it's a nice little moment.
It is a nice moment. And it's like, I feel like with the relationship too, and they both love like the performance and the event of things. And this is like a conversation and a moment that they both knew was coming like their whole lives, and they've both been ready for it, and they know that this is like a sweet pivotal moment for them as like mom and daughter, and they kind of just leave it at that.
Yeah.
College is good. Of course you want to use protection, and she like gives her all the information she needs. And you know that Ladybird wants to like follow up, and she wants to talk about it more.
Well, she asks about her dad.
Well, they leave the conversation there because they want to like keep that moment intact and like
Yeah.
not ruin
They don't
it
wanna
by like
fight.
crying, because they know that they always ruin everything. So yeah, she
Yeah.
changes the topic like to be back about the dad, because he's always the person that they can talk about and have
Yeah.
in common.
And the mom more or less confirms that the dad has been battling with depression for years, and that being successful doesn't mean anything in of itself. And Ladybird is like, well, he's depressed regardless. And of course the mom has to make a little dig of like, well, if you just asked about, if you just cared about other people, maybe you would know that he's depressed. But it's kind of some bullshit, because we know that Ladybird does care deeply, and she's just trying to be a normal teenager. It's not her responsibility.
Yeah,
You know?
it's just the mom's anxieties about everything just taken out on her again.
And she feels like she has to do everything, because she quite literally does do everything. Ladybird goes to swim at Jenna's house afterwards, and Ladybird's trying to have the kind of conversation she would normally have with Julie about hopes and dreams, and her reality is shattered when Jenna insists that she wants to be just like a wasp mother in Sacramento, never move away anywhere, and she says, I don't want to go to San Francisco because I don't like hills.
I think about this scene, I think once a week. Since I've seen this, I think about this once a fucking week. When she goes, I can't wait to leave Sacramento. And she's like, why? And just the betrayal.
Yeah.
The fucking betrayal of not being seen and being confronted with not everyone thinks like I do.
Right.
Not everyone hates this city and like has these like big aspirations and dreams and like their like whole origin story arc that they're living out, and just the absolute betrayal that someone could be so simple and so happy and so unlike her,
Because
and just not understanding her at all.
Because she's terrified of having a boring life, and so she wants everybody around her to also want exciting lives. And so when this really cool girl doesn't want an exciting life, she looks perplexed, because she's like, shit, I'm standing on one leg out here, and I gotta like go do it myself. And I think it's a similar sort of face that Julie makes when she comes to reality that she's not gonna marry her math teacher. because it's similarly, she's like, I'm gonna have to figure this life of mine out on my own.
It's literally, Jenna's hot. Her parents are together. She has a huge house. why would she want anything else? She
Yeah.
wants to send her daughters. She already has this plan out in her mind. She's gonna get married. She's gonna have 2 daughters, apparently, at least 2. She's gonna send them to the same school that they go to.
And just repeat.
Just repeat, rinse and repeat. And it's just like, why would she ever want to change that?
Yeah, she's just gonna be her parents, and Lady Bird is like, that's my worst nightmare.
I love it so much.
And at this point, it's starting to be felt that Julie hasn't been in the movie for a while. Julie's been
Yeah.
missing for like a good 5 or 6 scenes now.
No, I think about like the betrayal of like also learning that you can't just like transfer one friendship to another person.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like she wants to have the same talk that she always has with Julie and like dream and like world build in their heads for their future selves.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, fuck, you're not Julie.
Yeah.
She misses Julie.
And so, what do you know, with some great screenwriting pacing, the next scene is Julie. And Julie insists, you haven't been coming to class. Mrs. Whatever gave you a role, and you ungrateful asshole didn't even show up. You didn't even show up. And she's like, oh yeah, what role? And she says, the Tempest, the titular role.
She's like, that's not even a real role. They just made it so everyone can have a part.
I'm sorry if I took that from you.
No.
You want to say it?
No, sorry. She goes,
I feel like I took that from you.
no, because the one that I think of is, your mom's tits are fake. Totally fake. She made a bad decision when she was 19. 2 bad decisions.
Banger of a great argument. Great argument. Both characters pop off some amazing one-liners.
It's so fucking good.
I'm gonna have you come a little bit more forward.
Of course.
And also here we have the girl who previously condemned them for eating the Jesus
Hate
wafers.
her.
Because that's all Julie has.
Mm-hmm. It's the only other girl she knows and talks to.
Yeah, and in another life, she might have been their McLovin, but they don't even need that. They just have each other.
Did we pass by the? Yep.
So next up,
Abortion
we
alley.
have an abortion survivor, as I'm sure she would like to call herself. And she makes the whole room gasp when she says that the girl in the story who decided not to have an abortion was her mother, and it was her. She was the little fetus that got to live. And all of the Catholic girls are like, damn, this is deep.
And Lady Bird's like, I don't care. She has a moment. She's like, just because something is ugly doesn't make it morally wrong. And she's like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And she repeats herself. And Jenna, who's sitting at the rally beside her, she turns, her and the other girl sitting next to her turn their backs on
Yeah.
her and are covering their faces, and they're so
They do.
embarrassed that she is going against the grain and
Of
being-
Catholicism.
of just like social norms, of just being loud and vocal and seen.
And what's funny too is like, the room is captivated. The fellow students are laughing. You have Julie. I have actually never noticed this. Julie's up here looking kind of disappointed, like, wow, this narcissistic girl.
really can't help herself.
Because in the last scene, we skipped this. Julie is like, you can't get through anything without being the center of attention.
She finally fucking says it.
Yeah, and so now in this scene, she's like, more of the same, but everybody else is loving it except for her new bestie. And also, some of these students look very in their 20s up here. I mean,
I was literally still staring at this one. I mean, like, that's a beautiful woman.
yeah, no, but that's a grown
Like,
woman.
that's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Those are grown women.
Yeah. She comes home. Dad is, after a hard day, playing some solitaire.
That is the most unemployed dad thing I've ever seen. Because
Yeah.
when my dad was unemployed, he sat at the computer all day and played online poker. And then try to fix the deck a bunch.
They argue, and essentially it's a really nasty argument. The mom is like, as if you could ever even get into a college better than a city college. And Lady Bird, this is one of the many moments where she simultaneously is displaying guilt and genuine empathy for making her parents feel bad. She doesn't want to make her parents feel bad, but she also feels unfairly attacked. So she has to defend herself and say I'm sorry at the same time,
And
which is really complex.
And she's doing the teenage girl thing where the mom brings up, where you need to like have your parents drop you off a block away so no one sees that your parents are dropping you off. And the mom takes it and throws it in her face and says, you're making your father feel embarrassed. Like, he's not even there. And she's like, you humiliate him. You make him drop you off a block away because you're ashamed of our car and our family. And he's like, I told you not to tell her that.
Yeah, he says, Marion, you don't need to bring that up, because I think the dad kind of understands that she's just a teenage girl, like, having feelings, and he's like, listen, it makes me feel like crap, but, like, I'm not mad at her about it.
Yeah.
And the mom is like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. This is bullshit, you ungrateful little fuck.
Yeah, and at the very end, and, you know, she's talking about how expensive she is as a daughter, and Lady Bird says, write down the number, and I'm gonna go make a lot of money, and I'm gonna pay you back so I never have to talk to you again. And the mom says, I doubt you'll ever be able to do that. And then cut to watching Iraq get blown up on the news, because in the beginning, Lady Bird said a line that we skipped that's kind of almost the theme of the whole movie. She says, I wish I could live through something.
Oh my God.
And then the mom says, aren't you? And she says, no, the only thing interesting about 2002 is it's a palindrome. But then there's about 5 or 6 scenes in the movie where we're reminded that 9/11 happened.
Just happened.
Yeah. Julie says, you're going to New York? What about terrorism? And she says, don't be such a Republican.
Lady Bird is a 9/11 movie.
Lady Bird is a 9/11 movie, very much so. And really, the whole 2000s were, in one way or another. So yeah, we get a little, and I take these little interludes as just reality checks, because she is kind of constantly getting her reality checked in like little ways, and you can tell that it's humbling for her.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Like this when she's suspended from her little comment at the, I keep calling it an abortion rally, but
it basically was it was a reverse abortion rally.
Pro-life rally, I guess. And so, and we were reminded that it's St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
Because school got let out early.
Because the kids were getting
the Irish
sloshed
girls got sloshed.
On vodka tampons. Which is so foul. It's so outrageously foul.
They need to go to a hospital.
Yeah, that's like...
No one was right.
That's like certain death.
And so Jenna's walking up and she's calling Lady Bird on the phone and saying, guess whose house I'm at? And she was like, what? And she's like, ding dong, bitch, I'm outside. And she's like, no, run, don't go, no, run away. And then she has to come clean that she actually lives over here.
Yeah, and Jenna is a girl of honesty, and she is a girl, and you can tell that Jenna does not care about the economic state of this house. In fact, Jenna seems to be perfectly comfortable entering a middle-class home, but she's just like, this weirdo freak I've been hanging out with lied to me. It's
I feel like this is just another example of like Jenna just being so normal.
So normal.
So like not even would not even consider the nuance of a situation.
Yeah.
She's like, you lied to me.
About where you
live.
Okay.
And Labor's like, well, I just didn't understand. She's like, no, you lied.
You're a liar.
You're a liar. I don't like you now because you're a liar. I don't trust you.
And she says, so are we still friends? And she's like, well, if you're still Kyle's girlfriend, then I guess I'll see you.
I'll see you around.
She goes to Kyle's house and they have very unspecial sex.
Who loses their virginity when they're on top?
Now, maybe the most cringe recoil from the screen line happens in the whole movie in this scene. They start to have sex and she says, you're very dexterous with that. And
he's pulling out the condom.
And he looks really upset about it. His face is like, why are you talking to me?
Why? He hates her.
Yeah.
This is when we found out that he just hates her.
He just doesn't want her around.
No.
He just wants to read his book. And she's talking very cringily about how they just lost their virginities to each other.
Each other because she's so sincere. This is such a special moment for her.
Yeah.
And it's just so underwhelming.
And if Danny was straight, he'd be all in on this conversation.
Yeah, he'd be so excited too. And he just comes and goes. He puts his hands out and he just closes his eyes and then he just goes. Just as quiet as saddest little sigh. Like you just woke up and is just stretching. He's like, Sun's coming into the room and it's just another day. And then she's just so full all in on this.
She's elated.
She's like, oh, she's still trying to like salvage the specialness of the moment, even though she knows that it was so lame and so boring and
his room sucks.
His room sucks. Those ugly blinds.
It's like cliche boy room, but it's not even an interesting one.
I always notice like every teen boy, but especially every boy in general has blue plaid sheets at one point.
That's so real.
The amount of boy rooms that I've been in that have blue sheets at minimum, usually plaid.
You got it. It's interior design, baby.
You
got it.
That's a masculine color. But
this image says it all.
And she just so quickly, well, first we deflowered each other, and she's like, cut two, and she looks at a little photo of him. He's like, I don't get it, and he's just so insistent on being like, I don't get it, and wants to make her feel dumb. And she's trying to still make it work. She's like, no, we deflowered
She's
each
like,
other.
I'm making a really cringe joke right now.
Play along with me. It reminds me of what was the reality show with Jessica Simpson?
I have no.
And
Stop right there. I don't know.
Married Life. Anyways, it's this clip that circulated for a long time when the show was on, and Jessica Simpson's eating chicken of the sea, tuna salad, and she's like, is it tuna or is it chicken? I don't know. And her husband just makes her feel so fucking stupid.
For making a joke.
No, she was serious.
Oh.
But he just was so insistent on making her look stupid, and everyone thought that she was stupid. And it's just something that, like, when you're around someone for like 24/7, you're in a relationship, you obviously like seeing each other at your worst and dumbest. And it's just one of those things, if you had like a loving partner, they'd be like, that's so silly. Like, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah.
And it's just, no, you hate them. You hate them.
He is giving off I hate her vibes, and she talks about losing their virginities, and he's like, I didn't lose my virginity to you. I lost my virginity to like Delilah or whatever her name is. And she's like, you lied. You told me that you were a virgin. And he said, I think you might have been assuming things.
He's gaslighting her so fucking hard.
Really? And the thing is I think he genuinely lied so casually at that party that he doesn't even remember saying that.
No.
I think he thinks he's telling the truth right here, and that he thinks that she's crazy.
I say shit all the time that I don't remember, and some of it's probably a lie that it was easier to just say.
Yeah.
And then I'm confronted on it. I was like, I didn't say that. I was like, no, you did. Here's receipts. And I was like, oh man, you got me.
You're like, sniper, no sniping.
I've had sex with I think like 6 people.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't even know? He's like, what am I supposed to do? Keep a list? And she's like, I mean, yeah.
She says, why wouldn't you keep a list? We're in high school. And essentially she says, are we still going to prom together? And he says, sure. And she goes downstairs and sees his cancer dad. And she feels conflicted about this guy that sucks. Oh, and the final exchange they have, and he says, do you have any idea how many Iraqi civilians have died since 9/11? And she says, different things can be sad. It's not all war. Which is such a line.
It's such a good fucking line because he always tries to do that.
Yeah, he's like 2002 liberal atheist who basically is chalking up all bad behavior to it doesn't matter because war is happening.
He just read like Kafka for the first time.
Yeah.
Nietzsche.
This is like, he would be besties with Paul Dano and Little Miss Sunshine.
He probably tried a vocal strike for a while and then like wasn't very good at it because he had to just keep saying shit.
She thought her dad was supposed to pick her up, but it was her mom, and they have a loving embrace, and she says, let's go do our favorite Sunday activity, which happens to be going to mansion open houses and having a big fuss over the beautiful houses that they'll never get to live in.
They love the same shit. They're the same person. It's exactly the same scene as when she was at Danny's grandma's house.
Yeah.
And she was getting to do this, but like a more like real version of that.
Yeah.
She
And
got a
they're
cosplay.
checking out the windows and the couches. It's very sweet because, you know, you get a few scenes of them arguing, and Greta makes sure to balance it by showing them do nice stuff together so that it never feels like they're fully at ends with each other. She gets a bunch of declining college letters, but inevitably a wait list for New York, and that's enough for her to scream the same way she did when Danny kissed her. And now finally, her dad goes in for a job interview where the guy interviewing him is much younger and doesn't seem to be taking it even a little seriously.
Real dick.
Real dick.
Like a real asshole.
And the dad comes down and says maybe the best line in the whole movie. He says, how about we go get a big bag of Doritos and eat them in the car to celebrate your wait list?
Doritos.
He nails the Doritos. And they turn around, and who's there but Miguel interviewing for the same job. He's wearing a suit. He took all that shit out of his face, and he tied up his long hair.
And the dad straightens him out, and you can tell Miguel feels so guilty for going to the same job as him.
Yeah.
And then he's like, go get him. And he just believes in him.
And this is like such a pivotal scene, I think, because in every moment where the mom has the opportunity to say the right thing to her daughter, she kind of just can't help herself. And the dad at all times leaves his kids with the good feeling exiting a situation. And in this case, he's like, you can tell Miguel is going up the stairs with confidence because his dad made sure that he feels at least kind of okay about taking a job from the family.
He has his blessing.
It's very, very sweet. So notice how not yellow this room is now in this version of this set.
Blue.
Sarah June reads her college admission letter, and she tells Lady Bird, you love Sacramento. You write so beautifully about Sacramento. And Lady Bird's like, I do? I hate it here. But you can tell that she's very quickly ready to just concede. I think at this point, Lady Bird is like getting more comfortable with the idea that she actually likes where she's from. She's not saying it, but she doesn't seem as adverse to the accusation.
She's like, she tried on all of these like identities throughout the school year, and now she's kind of just like settling into the one that she just is. And another really good line in the movie where she's like, do you really love Sacramento? And she's like, I just think about it a lot. And she's like,
she says, I pay attention.
She's like, yeah, I pay attention. She's like, don't you think that that's maybe the same thing?
Paying attention and love.
Paying attention.
Yeah.
And it's just so sweet.
Very sweet. And I wound up making a short film called Springtime in Tempe. It's a silent film. I really just tried to like glorify what I find beautiful about the city I live in via the nature and the buildings and the people, little activities. I was very inspired by Studio Ghibli, but watching this, I forgot that actually this was a major inspiration for me because I had been living in Tempe for a number of years as an adult, and then I remember all of a sudden, towards graduation, I had a similar moment where I started to really click into like appreciating my like mundane surroundings. And I remember when I saw how this movie filmed Sacramento so beautifully and so boringly at the same time, I was like, I want to create that sort of feeling. And so this is where the movie's getting really warm and fuzzy around Sacramento, which is where Greta Gerwig is from. This is kind of her hometown love letter of a movie. They're trying on dresses for prom. And the mom, Lady Bird loves the dress, and the mom says, isn't it a little too pink?
Isn't it a little too pink? And she tried on, before the pink one, she tried on like a really tight, skimpy bodycon dress.
And the mom recoils at it.
And Lady Bird's like, it's too tight. She runs back in the dressing room and she says, I know I should have had that second helping of pasta.
Well, no, the mom.
Oh, yeah,
the mom says, "I tried to tell you not to have that second
Yeah, I
helping of
tried
pasta."
to tell you, and then she says, "You're gonna give me an eating disorder," and she said, and then she like says under her breath, "I wish I could get an eating disorder."
Is anything to be interesting?
Anything to
Absolutely
struggle.
anything, and. You know, maybe the most actually no, not the second, maybe the second most heartbreaking moment of the movie is Lady Bird says, I can't, like, I just want you to say I look great, like, and then she says, do you like me? And the mom says, of course I love you. And she says, of course you love me, but do you like me? And she says, I just want you to be the best version of yourself you can be. And then she's like, what if this is the best version? You know, because Lady Bird's basically saying, like, what if I never improve? Like, what if this is who I am? Can you handle that? Am I somebody you can hang out with without being a big bitch about it? And the mom is kind of like, I forget if she just sits there in silence or if she says, like, I doubt it. But the general vibe is the mom is like, I doubt this is the best version of you.
Yeah, because this is, like, who she thought she could be, too.
Yeah.
And the mom ended up just being the best version of herself that she could be, which is exactly that. And she's like, you're not gonna do this. You're not gonna do what I did.
Yeah.
You're gonna be better.
Well, see, the mom never really displays low self-esteem, but her life is very hard.
It's not the one that she thought that she would end up with. Like when they were arguing about the give me the price conversation.
Yeah.
She's like, you think that we planned on being in this house all
Yeah.
these years?
She
We
said-
thought we were gonna move. We thought we were gonna expand.
Yeah, she thought that they would be further along by now. So it's time for the dance. The mom has to work a double, constantly reminding us that she is
Always working.
putting this family on her back. and Kyle honks, and the dad says, you're not gonna get in a car for a boy that honks, are you? And then she says, I think I am.
And she goes out and Shelly says, you look really pretty. You look like a cool girl in a band. And she says, really? And it's so fucking sweet. And it's
Yeah.
Shelly coming in again to give her that like kind of like big sister,
Yeah.
maternal almost, like support and confidence.
Yeah, and in 20th Century Women, Greta Gerwig essentially plays that character, but as a much more front-facing main character. And that sort of archetype of the inherited cool older sister, I never had anything like that, but I
Yeah.
always love that trope. It's really
so
good.
good.
It's I think it's like I think they kind of take the big brother trope and it's like the girl
Do it
version
better,
usually.
almost.
Yeah, because it's a good little dynamic. They get in the car and everybody after 5 minutes is like, what if we just go get sloshed at like Kevin's instead of going to the prom? And for like a few moments, Lady Bird is like, well, I want to be cool, so let's do that. But then she thinks about it and she's like, actually, I do want to go to prom. And Kyle says, well, I don't want to do that. And then she's like, take me to Julie's. And he very joyously is like, okay, because he wants to get rid of her.
And then we get Jenna go, who's Julie? But before she comes to the conclusion that she does want to go to prom,
Yeah.
a song comes on the radio. It's Dave Matthews Band again. It's
I
the
never caught
same
that.
Dave Matthews song that her and Julie were listening to
Beckons her to Julie.
when she found Danny kissing that boy and they cried to that song together. And she loves that song. And Kyle goes, I can't fucking stand this song. And he turns it down. She's like, I like this song.
She says, I love this song.
I love this song.
She's standing up to the cool kids. She's starting to realize that she's the cool kids and they're
Yeah.
the losers.
She's standing up for herself. She knows who she is, kinda.
yeah.
Kinda now.
She's realizing that they suck.
They suck. They're no fun.
Yeah, they're just kinda attractive, and that's like all they have going
It's
for
literally
them.
not fun to hate things.
Yeah.
It's not fun to be too cool for fucking school. It's not fun to be too cool for prom.
My main identity is I like liking things.
It's fun.
So she goes to Julie's. It's the first time we see her place. And what do you know? This whole time, Lady Bird has been complaining about her like 3-bedroom house. Julie lives in a studio apartment that we've never heard one peep about because Julie's not a complainer.
No. She sees the bright side in everything.
And she says something about getting into SCC, a community college.
Yeah, she's planning on going to a community college.
Meanwhile, Lady Bird is complaining about getting accepted to Davis, a full-blown university, and she's a much worse student than Julie.
Who's Julie? My best friend.
They eat a bunch of cheese and crackers.
They eat so much cheese.
And they decide to go to the prom.
And they're just having the biggest fucking giggle. They're doing bits with each other about the cheese. It was so small, we just had to eat it. It was teeny tiny. They're just having the best fucking time.
They're being best friends.
And she's like, I'm so sorry you're not going to prom. We could still go. And she's like, I have a dress. She's like, no. She's like, I've had it for months. Because Julie is also just as sincere as Lady Bird is. They both care so fucking much about these things, and they get to go together.
They go to the prom, and it's hilariously themed as Hell's Inferno. Earlier, Mother Sarah June, like, threw out the options. I don't remember the first one, but the next two were Hell's Inferno or movies. And of course the students say hell is sick, so they have a hell-themed Catholic school prom, which is really based.
That's pretty tight.
They take a lovely couple pic. One of the teachers look at her like they better not be gay. And then she graduates in this gorgeous sky blue graduation gown.
Oh, maybe that's her color.
My graduation colors were yellow and brown, pee pee poo poo.
Yeah, mine was dark green and mustard yellow.
Let's go. But no, she gets a wonderful, perfect, you would say the complementary color to her hair graduation gown. They go to a lovely dinner at like, I was gonna say Buca de Beppo, but it actually looks like a Mexican food place. And Danny comes by. Everybody's like, "Hey,
Danny!
Norm!" And he's like, "I miss you guys." It makes you realize he could have just been hanging out this whole school year, but they blew it.
Yeah.
And he says, "Have you heard about the wait list?" And in a very abrupt end to a scene, the dad says, "Oh fuck," and then the mom just looks angry. And then we get the most heartbreaking scene in the movie, and frankly, one of the most heartbreaking scenes in any movie I've ever seen. Do you want to take it from here?
I just have one more thing to say about the dinner.
Because this camera runs out in 14 minutes.
Fuck. Okay, I have this idea of the mom, or Lady Bird and her mom having a conversation about Danny, like off camera,
Yeah.
that Lady Bird tells her about her and about Danny, about him being gay, and he can't talk to his family about it. And the mom just being like, okay, we need to protect him.
Yeah.
We care about him now.
Yeah, no, they all are cool with Danny. They all know the rub.
Yeah. And so
Silent treatment.
Silent treatment is way fucking worse. Because they know what to expect when they yell at each other.
Yeah.
They're comfortable with that. Lady Bird can't get through to her, and she's getting more and more desperate.
It's hauntingly sad because Lady Bird is pleading, "I'm sorry, I'm ungrateful. You do so much for the family. I'm ready to appreciate you." And she says the saddest line ever. She says, "I'm so sorry for wanting more."
And it's all the shit that she knows that her mom would have yelled at her if she was the normal amount of mad at her.
Yeah. She and it's really fucked up for the mom to be so angry because her daughter has achieved greatness here. She's kind of a really mid student who's getting accepted into a really good New York school. However, I didn't gloss over it. It's going to come right up. In a financial meeting, the dad says, "Okay, so with all the scholarships and us refinancing the house, can we make this happen?" So the mom knows that this is gonna make her life a whole lot longer, or shorter, depending on how you look at it. Silent treatment, and now we see Lady Bird grinding. We see her with a new job at the grocery store, but don't get it twisted, she's still working at the coffee shop as well, and she got her license. She's doing all the things. She's actually putting her mouth where her mouth is. The dad comes in with a birthday cupcake. It's a very sweet moment. The dad sort of apologizes for the mom.
He says the gorgeous line of, she just doesn't know how to help you.
She just doesn't know. I'm sort of speeding through this just out of anxiety, but he wants a bite of the cupcake. It's all very sweet. she goes to the gas station and she says, I want some cigarettes and a scratcher and a Playgirl.
And a Playgirl. And she's so fucking cool, smoking a cigarette and
Looking at dongs.
looking at big old dongs.
And she tells the cashier, I'm buying all these items because I'm 18 now. And he goes, cool. Does not care a bit.
She's like, it's my birthday. Happy birthday.
And I think this is a nice moment where it's like sometimes in life when you think something's really special, the rest of the world does not care.
No.
But she's going to make it special, damn it.
No.
And now she's taking down her room. It's really happening. She's going to New York, and the mom is essentially living in denial that this is going down. We see her doing paperwork at night. We are probably misled to think she's like crunching numbers for the family budget, but we're gonna learn in a little bit that's not what it is. And she gets driven to the airport, and the mom like will barely look at her. She says, "Thanks for taking me," and the mom immediately goes, "You're welcome."
She's like, you're not gonna walk me to the gate. You can't even go that far anymore. After 9/11, they won't let you in. And she's like, you're really not gonna walk me in. And she's like, I have to drive the car. She like makes up some excuse.
And Lady Bird says, "But I'm going to college."
This is a big moment for her.
Yeah.
And she drives off.
She drives off and she does the loop that we do at all airports. You know, you get all confused. You're like, fuck, was I supposed to get on Broadway? And then all of a sudden, she pulls up, she ditches the car, she does a felony, and she just rushes the gates, and she immediately starts weeping because Lady Bird is gone.
I think this is the saddest scene. This is the worst scene for me to watch in the whole fucking movie. Because
Okay.
you see her, this is the one that always fucking gets me, and I cry every time I think about it too hard.
Yeah.
Because you see her, she's like, I'm so mad at her, and then she's driving, and she realizes that she made a mistake, and that she's really gone. And she starts driving and she's sobbing and she's like, fuck, no, I need to go back. I need to do it. I'm fucked up. And she just runs back in. She like changed her mind. It's like, it's this situation. Have you ever like been driving and just crying really hard about just something?
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, we did it. And you have to like get off or do something, or traffic's bad and you're like sobbing and you have to like kind of like take a break from that to like merge or do something.
You can't die.
You can't die, or else that would suck and it'll never get resolved. But and then no one else knows that you're having this moment on the road. You're just like, fucking move. I have to get over. My daughter's leaving. I changed my mind. And you're crying. You can't see. You can't breathe.
And during this sequence, we see all these lovely shots intercut of Sacramento. We have 9 minutes. Now, okay, so Lady Bird gets to New York. She's looking through her bag. Her father has hidden all of these yellow papers from before. It turns out she wrote draft after draft of a college goodbye letter. And he says, your mom thought that you would judge her for her writing. There's no voiceover, and the movie does not hold long enough for you to even read this. But luckily, with new technology, we paused the film and we can read what her mom wrote. This one says, Dear Christine, I know you go by Lady Bird now, and I think it's very sweet, but I think of you when I birthed you, named you Christine when you were
born.
And what a miracle you were and are, but I something you. Don't know what that one is.
I think it's love.
Now, the new one says, Dear Lady Bird, I read this earlier to practice because I suck at reading code.
Me too.
Dear Lady Bird, I am sorry that we fight, and I'm sorry that we are so hard on each other. I've been too hard on you. I love you, and I don't want to be so at odds with you. I'm amazed by you. You are so amazing and beautiful and funny, and I don't think that you have that, and I don't think that you know that I think that. I think that you're extraordinary every time I look at you, and I can't believe you're my daughter. I wish we had the relationship that you have with your dad. You've always been a daddy's girl. I'd spend all day with you, but when dad came home, you would be so happy. Just something I think maybe I was jealous. I don't even know. People tell me that we're off screen, blank, 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 and I tell them no. There is a can't read it, and can't read it. And
I'm sobbing.
yeah, no, it's a heartbreaking letter. It's, and I read it very unpoetically with my but that's her damn cursive's fault.
Oh my god.
So Allison, how do you feel about the letter? that the movie gives you no opportunity to read.
It's so fucking sad. It's like they could have been so good to each other the whole time, and she's just realizing after she's gone.
Yeah.
Oh god, it gets me every fucking time.
And we're looking at about 8 drafts of this.
8 drafts.
So you know that this definitely affected her. She goes to a party, talks to some loser. She gets alcohol poisoning.
They go back to her room. He's going through her albums, and he's like, "It's all just greatest hits," and she's like, "But they're the greatest."
Which is so funny.
It's like, yes, of course. And she's like, "This is the thing that I like, and fuck you for not liking it. I like it." And then they hook up, and she throws up, gets alcohol poisoning. She wakes up in the hospital alone.
And to be fair, they never. I don't think they do hook up. They
make out, and then she throws out.
They make out.
He calls the hospital.
She hilariously gets wheeled out very dramatically. And then she sits up in the hospital she reads that her name is Christine on her name tag. I presume that she is rescinding Lady Bird because she introduced herself as Christine at the party.
Probably after reading her mom's letter.
And she looks at this, very, very hauntingly looks at this young boy who may be missing an eye with just a disheveled mom.
2 things can be bad at the same time.
Yeah, and she has a little bit of a moment. I think it's like a reality check.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a reminder of her mom.
She's all alone. Her mom's not there to take care of her and pick her up from the hospital.
But this boy who did God knows what has a mom. We have 5 minutes.
It's between him and God.
Next, we see her walk through New York, and it's a little romantic, but instead of seeing her POV, seeing these beautiful shots of New York, it instead focuses on her. I think that it's a really nice cinematography choice. They really center on her as the main attraction of walking through New York, and some of it looks like it's bouncing off her face, like it's not as special as she wants it to be, and in other parts it looks like she's kind of quietly taking it in. It's just real life. It's kind of nice and it's kind of not. She goes to Sunday Catholic church, has a come to Jesus moment, and she very poetically asks her mom if she got emotional the first time she drove in Sacramento, and we see them have the exact same drive. She romanticizes all of the bends and turns in the roads.
The same bitch.
And she leaves a voicemail, and she tells her mom that she loves her and that Christine was a good name, and she's happy that they gave her that name.
And she said, "I love you. Thank you." And she says, "Thank you again."
And then we all have to deal with the heartbreak that the final thing they ever say to each other was like 5 scenes ago at the airport terminal, and her mom just saying, "You're welcome." And that's the last thing they say to each other in the whole movie.
And then I turn the movie off and I go in the shower and I sit down and cry.
Now, okay, so we have 4 minutes remaining on this camera.
Okay.
If we want to really keep going, I could clear off a little bit more space, but let me see how we're doing. All right, so that's Lady Bird.
Now that we have more time to talk about the Sacramento of it all.
Yeah, the Sacramento of it all. I don't know that I've ever been to Sacramento, but when I'm in Los Angeles, I've seen those exit signs to get there, and I think that's where Lady Bird is.
It's famously the capital of California.
I knew that once.
Every once in a while I was like, "Is it Fresno?" I'm like, "It's one of those weird ones." I was like, "It's fucking Sacramento." My freshman year roommate in college, she was from Sacramento too, and I was like, "Oh, like Lady Bird," and she was like, "What?" And it was again a betrayal of someone not having the same experience and like existence as you.
Yeah, and how dare they?
How fucking dare you? Do you not understand? You're from the great city of Lady Bird.
Also, I did some math just for us to maybe think of Lady Bird as a more 3-dimensional person. She would currently be 40 in our modern day. So think of any 40-year-old millennial that you cross paths with. That's Lady Bird and Julie.
That is insane.
Yeah.
I like to think that they're still friends, and Julie moved out to New York with her, and they like lived together after college for a while, and Julie ended up maybe like transferring her credits to an actual university and finishing it up and getting a bachelor's degree with Lady Bird, and then they have cool New York jobs.
It's a little idealistic, but I like to think that they stay friends, because so often the people who are the most important to you, you don't even know them anymore,
No.
like Gautier once said.
Literally.
And I think that these two stay in touch.
One of my best friends in high school that we just kind of just stopped having things in common. I saw her at my job once and bought her a drink, and I said, it's so good to see you. I'm not gonna say we're gonna hang out because we both know we won't.
Oh no.
And we won't reach out, but I'm really happy that I'm seeing you right now. And she said the same thing. She's like, I know we're not gonna fucking hang out. Why would we? We don't have anything in common anymore.
That's hard.
Yeah.
My high school best friend is still my best friend. I met him when I was 14. I'm 27, so once my birthday hits, I can say I've known him half my life, which is very beautiful. But I have a lot of best friends from high school who I don't know even a little bit anymore. It's their choice, not mine. But every now and again, some people stick along for the ride, and I think Lady Bird and Julie, they're keeping up.
They're keeping up.
Yeah.
But
Miguel, maybe he got the job, maybe not.
I think he got the job, and him and Shelly have their own apartment now. And I think Shelly probably ends up having a good tech job once the .com bubble doesn't boom yet. She gets in while the getting's good.
Little known fact, Miguel was interviewing at Enron.
I did not catch that.
No, I made that up. That's not real.
Oh, no.
That's not real.
No, he was interviewing at Enron. And I think that they probably have a kid move to San Francisco and become really bad tech yuppies and are able to stay there while it's still affordable, and that's my dream for them.
Have you seen 20th Century Women?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's been a minute.
Okay, maybe we could do it.
That's San Francisco, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
Nope. Yep.
Well, okay. There's a lot of scenes where he's like, "Let's go up the coast to Venice or whatever." So they're kind of like
Southern California.
kind of LA close, I think. I forget exactly where they are. No, it's Santa Barbara. That's such a big thing. It's Santa Barbara. And that we could do an episode on that sometime. That's been one of my favorite movies. And that movie does do the whole narration, what happens to them thing at the end. And Greta Gerwig's punk rock character, she gets a husband and a house in Santa Barbara and 2 beautiful boys. And she just settles down, and she has the normal life that her rebellious college phase did not want to have.
Sometimes it's just kind of okay to be comfy.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just you're tired and you got your formative years and they formed you, and you're okay with how you ended up.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm glad I did it. I think it's time to move on and just do the rest of life now.
Yeah.
Kind of getting comfortable with the mundane, because it's just every day is not an adventure. Everyday life is not a fucking adventure.
I have such a conflict with this because I love being comfy, and honestly, having a beautiful life like that sounds great. I just, unfortunately, the big goals I have for myself, directing movies and crap like that, is go move to a cutthroat city, kid, and prove yourself in the dirt for 10 years. And I'm like,
That's not comfy.
and I'm like, that is at odds with the other stuff I want to do.
That is so at odds with sitting outside and eating a sandwich for a few hours on a day off
It's
when the sun
expensive.
is just right.
It's expensive eating that sandwich in some cities.
Famously so.
Famously so. So that's an inner turmoil that I have. Yeah. What are your thoughts and feelings right now about this beautiful film?
I feel like I need to call my mom and apologize. Is how I feel every time that I finish. I'm gonna start crying again. Every time I see this end scene,
Yeah.
I want to call her and tell her I'm sorry for being such a little brat.
Man, oh yeah, my mom passed away a few years ago, and I had a really good relationship with her, but we, like anybody, we bicker, and I go to my Facebook conversations with her, and I'm just being a dick. Like it's her like it's like her inviting me to like go to the movies while I'm in college, and I'm like, I have so much stuff going on, don't you know that? And I'm just like, God damn it, why was I like that? Yeah, I didn't say don't you know that. I'm hyperbolizing, but just being kind
Probably
of
to yourself.
being kind of
know.
bratty, or like I'm too busy or whatever it is. And it's like, I remember I was hanging out with Jay one time, and like we were smoking weed, and we were kind of talking about seeing your parents and then later feeling like an asshole. And I remember I was like, do you ever like get done hanging out with your parents and just feel like a dick? And he was like, every time.
I feel like an asshole when I have to like leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will go to like my parents and we'll hang out, and I'm like, okay, well, it's getting late. And it's like, why don't you just stay here? And I was like, well, because I have to get up tomorrow and I need to, and I say it's getting late and I need to go home, but really, like, I want to go home and I want to smoke weed and drink wine and, like, watch my show in my bed and maybe, like, call my boyfriend and talk shit, and I can't do that if we're here, like, watching Never Been Kissed on Netflix for 6 hours.
Yeah, and it's interesting is the family is never too overbearing of like, you need to have the life we think you ought to have. They're generally pretty supportive, but like within a range.
Yeah.
They're like, don't shoot too high, kid, because that's gonna mess things up a little bit.
It's like, how are you paying your rent, buddy?
Yeah. It's like she wants her to leave the nest, but also she doesn't know what she's gonna do with herself once she does.
Exactly, because then she's gone. And she just is left with her bills and her adult son sleeping on the couch for hopefully not too much longer.
Yeah. Let's talk. So there's authority figures, of course. Sarah June, the Catholic lady or whatever. Or maybe it's Sister June, and I just misheard it as Sarah. But Sister June, she's very nice. When she gets pranked with the Jesus thing, she says, "I think it was pretty funny."
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
we drove halfway home before we realized that people were honking at us.
Yeah.
And then we kept driving around because we thought it was so funny.
she loved it.
She loved it.
That's something about this movie that's great, is like, as oppressive as the conversations with her mom are, this movie exists in a relatively like supportive world. Like there's not like a whole lot of like situations or places or rules or authority figures being like, no. There's like a lot of self-autonomy in this movie. They're kind of going around doing whatever they want. And even when they're up to no good, like throwing away the rule book or the grade book or like vandalizing a car, they kind of just get away with it pretty easy.
Yeah, it's very like kids will be kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of that, which is nice because it takes place at a Catholic school, and so it subverts the expectations of like asshole teachers.
Yeah.
What just happened?
I had something to say and I forgot.
Okay. Are you okay?
I saw a flick of food going down my fishbowl. I forgot what I was thinking about.
The men of the movie.
The men of the movie.
We got Danny,
who's struggling with being gay. We have Kyle, who's struggling with not having a personality.
And a cancer patient father.
And
the Iraq War.
He's in capitalism.
Fiberglass.
No one will barter with him.
Fiberglass and cigarettes. Everybody's using a phone and he can't do anything about it. And also Danny, he has a Ronald Reagan grandma.
Oh, that was great. She's like, is it a joke? He's like, no.
Yeah. And so he's gay and he loves God, and so he's very conflicted. The drama teacher, he's dealing with like a dead child and probably a divorce.
Well, it's also, he's a priest, and so obviously he can't have a wife or be married or.
Oh, right.
And so you think about
some of them just do though.
Some of them just do, but you think about how he got there, and obviously he's very broken and hurt and feels really small and bad. Oh no. Back to cartoons. That's okay.
All right, we're back. I think I might have not hit record on the other one. Just hire me as a cinematographer. I'm great at my job.
I know how to push buttons.
Yeah, look at
Julie.
that. God damn it. I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay, but back to the
I'm
priest.
just like, this is like extra hours of work later. I gotta. It's fine. It's fine.
It's a labor of love. I
Yeah.
mean, just trying to make everything better. I'm like, no, it's fine.
I hope someone's still watching this far in. I really do.
But we're talking about the priest, and so we know his daughter died. We know he's really not in a good place mentally, and he doesn't have his faith anymore. And like all the things that led him to trying to join the priesthood and like losing his daughter, probably his wife in the process, and just trying to think that that's what's gonna save him, and it didn't.
Yeah.
And just having to deal with the aftermath of the thing that you had everything riding on not working out.
Yeah. And then like
Being left with yourself.
and Miguel's interesting because he doesn't have one aspiration the entire film. He's kind of just there. Like at a certain point, Shelley has more of an identity than him. But then when
more lines.
when Lady Bird reminds him that he went to Berkeley and then he has a bunch of shit in his face, it plays rhythmically as a throwaway joke, but it actually gets through to him and he starts applying for serious jobs like right after, which I think is I think that's an interesting thing.
And he works at a grocery store. He sleeps on the couch, pull-out couch in the living room. He's obviously hearing all the conversations that are going on in that house about money, and knowing that Lady Bird's leaving and his dad lost the job, and he's like kind of probably off screen is starting to realize like, fuck, like I can't do this anymore.
We could make a whole Miguel movie.
God, yeah.
There's
Spin-off.
there's so much unseen potential for Miguel.
I hope he got that job.
We all know about the dad. He's just really just gritting his teeth through everything, being the most likable guy on the fucking planet.
I really hope that he got into like 3D printing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, in the job interview, he's like, the interviewer is like, dude, these coders are so young now. And he's like, well, you'll find something different with me, a learned professional. And the guy's like, no, like we're hiring babies. And then the dad is like, fuck, I'm not getting this job.
He's like, isn't that crazy that the assholes that fired you are now going under?
Yeah,
He's like, fuck those guys. He's like, yeah,
but I'm not hiring you.
yeah. He's just-
And we just got Chad David Wallace boinking Julie's mom, and then we got Chad math teacher.
Just an absolute dreamboat. He's charming, he's good looking, he pays attention to Julie. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
I wanted him.
What more is there to say? Well, Greta Gerwig, she went on to make Little Women. And then
Starring Saoirse Ronan and
more Saoirse,
Saoirse and more Timmy.
and then Barbie.
And then Barbie.
I am gonna go out on a hot take, but I think it shouldn't be a hot take, Lim, that this is still her best movie.
Yep.
I think that the other two movies are not nearly as good as this movie.
No, this is an absolute masterpiece.
And it's not a diss to the other two per se.
Little Women, I cry every time I watch Little Women. I love her Little Women.
So I only saw Little Women once. I never heard of it even, so I didn't know it was like an adaptation or a remake. And I'll be totally honest, I watched it very obliviously, where I did not recognize that time jumps were happening. I thought it was just a linear movie that was confusing. And so when Florence Pugh goes from playing like a 13-year-old
I think in the book,
to like a 22-year-old,
I think in the book she was, maybe 8.
I genuinely thought in many of the scenes, why is this girl so stupid?
Why is she so stupid? Why is she so annoying? Because she's a fucking child.
Because they had like a grown woman playing like a child, and
Yeah.
that really confused me.
I think in the
And then Saul Goodman walks in.
My Little Woman. But I think in the 95 Little Woman movie, they do have different actors playing like the younger girls
Yeah.
in the time cut, and so it makes more sense, and so that's why it's kind of confusing. And everyone hates Amy.
I want to rewatch it, but to be honest, I got virtually nothing out of Little Women. And Barbie, I thought was really good. It was really funny, and the production design is like insanely high effort. I think that Barbie is like kind of a weird conflicting movie to me because we have a lot of corporations just winking at us these days. Like we're in a very post Deadpool, post Rick and Morty era where like the fourth wall has been just bulldozed away.
Yeah.
And Barbie is like, on one end, it's kind of punk rock that they convinced Mattel to make this movie that is very self-critical, but then it's still Mattel.
It's still Mattel.
Making all this money, you know, and it's just, and we have Will Ferrell being, I think, having his potential not used remotely as well as it could have been.
I mean, that one of the last scenes where they're like running through the office and so perfectly choreographed is one of the best scenes ever.
I'll be totally honest, that for me was one of the most boring parts of the whole
Really?
movie.
I loved it.
I like some musicals, but in general, like a lot of theater-y type stuff I'm not as into. And like I love La La Land, but like in that scene where it's just like all the men like running, like I don't know.
I think it's camp. I think
It's very campy.
I think it's camp. When I see a scene like that, I think of how much fun they had doing it or writing it. Do you are you a big like Please Don't Destroy guy?
The new SNL boys.
Yeah.
I like them. Yeah, they're
Have
good.
you seen their movie? It's Return to Foggy Mountain.
I want to. I don't have like an Apple Plus or whatever it's on.
Peacock. I'll give you my login.
Thank you so much.
But because you need to watch it.
I'll put it on screen for everybody else.
Spoiler alert. There's a scene where
they come forward a little bit. I think you might be out of focus.
When they find the treasure. Spoiler.
Wait, are you spoiling?
I'm spoiling that they find the treasure.
Okay.
Because they're gonna find the fucking treasure.
Be careful.
And they have a scene where they have the treasure and they hit the Soulja Boy for the entire song. They play it.
That goes hard, actually.
And they're just dancing, doing the full dance, and you know that the movie was like written around during that scene. And they're having so much fun with it. And it's just,
I love that.
I was like, look at them having fun. I love anything that's like, look at them having fun.
Barbie was also co-written with her husband, Noah Baumbach, who did the Meyerowitz stories, which nobody has watched, but it's very good. He did Frances Ha. Do you know about the Meyerowitz stories?
No.
It's a Netflix movie that deserved a theatrical run where Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller, and a woman we all recognize but don't know her name play siblings, and they have a father of Dustin Hoffman. And if you think this movie has family members talking over each other and not hearing each other, boy, should you see the Meyerowitz stories. It is a slog.
All right, I'll have to watch it.
But it's a good movie. It's a little exhausting. And then Marriage Story was like, well, temper the exhaustion with a little bit of cute, fun stuff. But they got together and co-wrote Barbie, a director power couple, and we love that.
We love that. I'm a Barbie apologist.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I have no qualms with it. It's definitely a movie that should exist and everybody should go have fun with. I think that it's just, I want to get to a point, hopefully, where we can make like social statement movies with like a little bit more subtlety to like get through to people. Because
I don't think we need a monologue.
That's the thing.
We did not need that monologue.
The America Ferrara monologue about like the joys of feminism and being a woman. It's
sometimes we're too fat and sometimes we're too skinny. It's like I also took women's studies 101.
Yeah, it's like
I also have a Twitter account.
It's like I agree with the things she's saying, but the presentation of us being like in a movie theater and this is how it's being taken in, and it got an applause break in the theater I saw, which I expected, and it's one of these things where I'm like, this is good, but I don't know, man. Like, could be a little bit more, I don't know.
It didn't give you credit for thinking that you could get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what upset me too. But
it wasn't Get Out level subtext.
No. I did love Barbie. I'm just going through my Barbie a lot, though it's okay. Because Lady Bird is a movie like Barbie that it makes me angry at men in my life for not understanding enough, and just the devastation and the feeling of loss that they will never understand. And it's very much the scene in Little Women when Lori, Timothy's character, walks in after the party and sees all of the women just fawning over each other, and just the coziness and the warmth of that, and how it's like it's a really annoying thing that she's her, and they were upset that they gotta leave the party, and they're all upset when they left for the party because they couldn't go. And he just gets a peek into like that life.
Yeah.
And it's just very sweet and touching, but it's just like that's as far as it goes, and that's as far as it ever will go. And after Barbie, I was crying, of course. And me and my boyfriend got in the car after we left the theater, and I started crying again.
Yeah.
And then we got home, and I went into the other room to have a moment to myself. I'm gonna cry again.
Was there a particular scene, or just the whole experience of the Barbie movie?
It was when that stupid song came on at the end. What am I made for? And I came back after having a moment, and I just started yelling. I took it out on him, and I said, "You'll never understand." And I was like, "You will never be as upset as I am right now. You don't get it." And I feel sad for him that he'll never understand.
And then your boyfriend puts on No Country for Old Men, and he points at the serial killer, and he goes, "I'm him."
He puts on FIFA, and he's like, "This is the same feeling.
Yeah.
When my team doesn't win, it's the same feeling. Jargon's leaving Liverpool, and I'm sad, and you'll never understand the same sadness."
I feel, it's interesting because for like male pent up feelings, vicarious characters, you see a lot of these like emotional TikTok edits to characters who were quite literally like murderers. Like you get like American Psycho and Batman and like all these dudes, you know? I feel like I felt the most when I watched Perks of Being a Wallflower, and when I watched Little Miss Sunshine, and Paul Dano just like erupted with like just pent up rage. I feel like being a teenage boy, those were the two movies and also I'm a big Garden State head. And I don't care if that's cringe. I love Garden State. And so like, those were some of the movies where I was just like, it's hard.
It's hard being a boy.
But see, like, not even that. It was never a gender thing. It was just like, I'm a teenager or whatever. But it's good that, I don't know. It's good that Greta is making these movies, getting woman POV out here in these highly accessible films.
What do you think is like a movie that is like kind of like a male equivalent that's just like has the same sort of like empathy for a male point of view? You know what I mean?
I know I've brought this up a few times, but just to pick a movie that's not too far off in space is like an entirely different thing. I genuinely think that Superbad's like representation of male friendship is like really beautiful, because at the end of the movie when they get home from all the antics and they're on the floor in sleeping bags, and he's like, "Dude, you're my best friend. I love you." And he's like, "I love you too." And he's like, "We should say I love you more. I just want to get up on the roof and say I love my friend Evan, and he's the best. And I just want to spend every day with him." And then he boops him on the nose, and he goes, "Boop." And he goes, "You're the freaking best." But then in the morning, they wake up, and now the delirium of staying up really late at night with your boy has faded, and now it's just like, it's the morning, you're in your friend's mom's house, you know you got shit to do, you made no plans, and he's like, "You want to go to the mall?" And like go get like cargo shorts, I guess, you know, and they're trying to figure out which cargo shorts make their legs look the most sexy for college. And it's just so funny. And like, I don't know, that movie has a lot of like male desperation.
Yeah.
Of, like, they're just trying to be cool, they're trying to drink, they're trying to fuck, they're trying to get into the good college. They fucking hate that they have to rely on Fogel. And like, I don't know, it's not, obviously that movie is not as like focused on the emotions as like something like this. It's more of a comedy than a drama.
Yeah.
But like, I think that movie did such a good job like representing just high school students.
Big deep feelings can be funny too.
Yeah. One of the funniest scenes in Superbad to me is when they're waiting outside of the liquor store and waiting for Fogel to buy the alcohol, and they're talking about like a girl around the corner.
Bro, that's gonna be fucking me.
Yeah, well, they're talking about her having big tits, and he's like, yeah, they're big, but like, no way. And he's like, she's gonna get a breast reduction surgery.
No, she already got the surgery.
Well, okay. Well,
And he's like, it's such a shame.
okay, well, all I know is that the scene ends with them running, and he says, let's go get a glimpse of those warlocks.
I love that scene. It's
Just
so
like such a just horrible.
And she's running by, and he's like, oh, it sucks that she got rid of those tits. And he's like, well, now that she can jog comfortably, she's in the best shape of her life.
And like,
that's so
and
fucking
Evan gets lube and he throws it. He's like, he said, they're ready to go. You don't need a lube. He's like, you owe me $8. Like, whatever it is. So good. Yeah, I love Lady Bird a lot. We can wrap up.
Yeah.
I don't know how to end this thing, but God bless Greta Gerwig.
God bless Greta Gerwig.
And I think that she's really making a really strong filmography here with these first three. I'm interested to see where she goes. I hope she doesn't get like snatched up by the Marvel machine, because something that Marvel and these big studios like to do is they like to take the new hot director on the block and they like to say, you belong to us now, and then you become synonymous with like corporate products.
You would never.
But see, she's one Barbie in, so we'll see what happens next. I hope her next movie is more something like this. I hope her next movie has a smaller budget.
I hope they make that bitch poor.
She deserves a big, beautiful budget, but let's see what she can do. Actually, I'm curious. Lady Bird budget, box office, mojo. We'll end with this. Let's see what they did. All right. So worldwide, Lady Bird made $78.9 million. 48.9 of that was in America. 30 million was everywhere else. Opening weekend, it only made $364,000. Isn't this interesting, people? Oh shit! And its budget was 10 million. Okay, so it made 10 million. Or no, so it cost 10 million and she made 78.9. And so the studios were like, this lady can make us money, let's hire her again. Good for her.
Good for her.
Yeah. All right, maybe that was a boring way to end this.
Take away her money.
No. Yeah, that's what I was getting at for sure. All right, this was fun. Thank you, Allison.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I can get Adam and Eve to sponsor me.
Yay.
I'm so mad at myself for not even hitting record on that first chunk of that.